Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's guide on how to watch Bulls versus Leinster on a free-to-air broadcaster. This weekend is a very interesting weekend for South African sides because it is the last weekend of URC Group Stage Rugby, round 18, before we move into the playoffs. And still a lot to play for some of the South African sides. And Bulls got a very interesting match ahead of them because they beat Zebra, or they hammered Zebra last weekend, and they're now playing against a Leinster sort of academy side, very young side. Lots of sort of a lot of mainstream players missing, but this Leinster side, which did beat the Lions last week and did have to come back from behind, so a very spirited performance. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Bulls go about business this weekend because of their last game, ready to sort of build some form and find form going into the playoffs. Before we tell you exactly how to watch it, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Now, if you're in the UK and Ireland, you'll be able to watch this match for free on TG4, which is an Irish language free channel. But if you're outside the UK or Ireland, you'll still be able to watch it for free, but you'll have to use something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network. And that geolocates your device to make it seem as if you are in the UK or Ireland. And we recommend ExpressVPN, link down in the description. We've got a whole step-by-step guide on how to watch the game. So first things first, you're going to download ExpressVPN and install it. And you're going to click on those little three buttons on the right there. It'll open up all the locations. I'm currently connected to a London server. You can connect to an Ireland server or a different UK server. Now, as I said, you can watch every single match of the World Cup for free using a VPN. So get yourself a 12-month subscription, and you can get an extra 3 months for free. We do videos every single week on how you can watch rugby for free using a VPN. So because I'm connected to the UK, I'm currently watching TG4. And this is what's currently on. I've got no idea what it is. Looks very weird, but it is currently working, and this is currently the web browser. You don't have to go and log in or anything like that. It is as simple as that to use, and this is me in South Africa. As soon as you stop using a VPN, you will no longer have access to this channel. So because, as I said, because it's geolocated. So if you try and access this channel without a VPN, it'll say that this video is not available in your location, and you won't be able to watch the action. So that is where a VPN does help. And yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I said, check out the description. It has all the step-by-step guide that you need to do to be able to watch the game. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys this weekend at all the various watch-alongs. Right, and we are live. Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. It is a Wednesday, the 19th of April. We're almost well past the halfway mark in April, and we are busy getting ready for the final weekend of URC normal round of or group stage rugby. And as such, as the title says, it's the last opportunity for teams to find form. It's the last opportunity to try things, last opportunity to give anybody a chance, last opportunity to get towards finding where your team is and what sort of form your team is in. So it's a pretty big opportunity for a lot of teams to do several different things. For some teams, they can't afford to rest players, they can't afford to rotate squads, they can't afford to take any chances this weekend. But other teams, the tournament's already gone, isn't it? Some of them can't make playoffs, some of them can't get anything really out of this. So how do they do that? Do they then give players a chance who haven't had, or do they want to finish with a bang? How important is a 10th versus an 11th to certain franchises and unions, stuff like that. For other teams, it's about rotation. It's about, we're ready where we need to be. We've secured certain spots, but now we need to make sure all our players are fresh going into the playoffs. And we're going to have a quick look at some of the fixtures and talk a little bit about the SA sides and where they all sort of stand and going into this weekend, which teams need to be worried, which teams don't need to be worried. And I don't think there's any South African team that doesn't need to be worried. But yeah, we're also going to catch up on some of the latest news happening all around the rugby world. A couple of interesting things, some transfer news, a very exciting signing for the Lions. Also, an interesting development happening over in the UK with Jack Noel being charged with misconduct after a tweet against a referee, which was quite interesting. So we'll have a little bit of an update on that. I think he's got a disciplinary hearing happening today. So it'll be interesting to see what the decision is there and whether the Rugby Association, the Football Association in the UK are going to sanction him to try and sort of make it seem as if they're kind of on board with the whole World Rugby push not to criticize referees. And it's been quite a controversial thing, isn't it, at the end of the day? So, yeah, the poll I'm going to ask is, can an SAURC side win the competition? Simple, yes or no. I'm going to put that in the comments, and I want you guys to go and vote on it. I want you guys to give me your feedback and let me know what you think. Can one of our sides win the URC? That is the sort of very simple, straightforward question that I'm asking you. So yeah, go and vote in the comments, and yeah, and jump in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. A couple of cool videos out today. We've done a 5 things learned for the URC, where I basically said that at this stage the Sharks stand no chance in the URC playoffs. So interesting to see what everybody has to say about it. And actually been getting some very, very cool comments about people regarding the URC, because one of the things that I said in my 5 things learned is I said that the URC product is only going to get better as a competition. That I've really enjoyed the first 2 seasons, and I think that this competition is going to become quite special. And it's interesting to see the feedback, because generally I think that all the URC teams and sort of fans enjoy the competition, save the Welsh fans. And to be honest, if we're being brutally honest, the Welsh teams at the moment are not contributing enough to the URC. And Wales Rugby is in such dire straits, and there's been a big push for them to try and sort of start that whole Anglo-Welsh league. And you know what? To be honest, ironically, I don't think the URC would actually really miss the Welsh side right now, which sounds pretty controversial. And I would miss seeing Welsh players. I think I really enjoy watching. I mean, a lot of my favorite players are Welsh. You know, I mean, Lee Harper is one of my favorite players to watch. You know, for example, and there's a couple of really nice players coming through in that Welsh setup. But right now, Welsh Rugby and the Welsh regions are in a lot of trouble. And until they sort that out, until they really start getting that functioning, they're just not contributing enough to the competition. So it sounds pretty simplistic to just basically say that, you know, your bottom 4 to 5 sides are not adding anything to competition, which might sound a bit unfair. But I just think right now, you know, we've got a lot of big rivalry happening between the Irish and the South African sides. We've got Glasgow Warriors who are throwing their names into the mix there, and then we've got Benetton who are quite a cool team. But that's kind of it at the moment, you know. And I think if the Welsh unions and the Welsh regions got a lot stronger, and we could sort of, I mean, because we've got quite a big national rivalry with Wales. In many ways, a bigger rivalry with Wales recently than Ireland, in terms of we played them so much more and in some pretty important matches. But so I'd like to sort of translate that rivalry into the clubs. But at the moment, we just kind of need the Welsh, the regions to really sort of step up a little bit and start really adding a lot of value to the URC. So yeah, but we'll have a look at the fixture, shall we? And that'll sort of give us an idea of what. Sorry, I was busy. Had a couple of issues with the internet there. It has seems to have reconnected though. So we are back. But yeah, so Stormers versus Benetton will start things off on Friday evening. Now, this is an interesting game because immediately afterwards, Ulster take on Edinburgh. See, those are the 2 Friday games. And this is very, very interesting because Friday is basically the fight. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see a bit more. Friday is the fight for second place. Friday is the fight for second place. And what I mean by that is if we go look at the table, I'm going to have to make this a little bit bigger, just slightly bigger so that we can see the points. There we go. And make this a little bigger so we can see the positions. We'll make the entire thing slightly smaller. That's what I'm talking about. The fight for second place. So Leinster are sitting at the top of the table. They can't be caught. They cannot be caught. Now, Ulster Stormers are fighting for second position. Glasgow Warriors can't really catch the Stormers if the Stormers win. So it's between Ulster and Stormers. Now, what Stormers need to do? So we need to, for a Stormers perspective, if you're a Stormers fan, this is exactly what you want. You want to beat Benetton, who are sitting down in 9th place. And in doing so, they would then confirm the Sharks as the 8th position and in the playoffs. And what that would do with the bonus point win, it would put them on 68 points. And it could push their points difference up. However, points difference is only the third thing that matters when it comes to rankings. It goes points, amount of wins, or number of wins, and then points difference. So they need to put on 68 points, which then means when Edinburgh take on Ulster with a bonus point, but they win the game, they will also have second place. However, if they only draw that game or they lose that game and Stormers have won this game over here, Stormers will finish second. So Stormers can't control what happens in this game, but they can control what's going to happen in this game. So go out. It's at the Donny Craven Stadium as well, which I think is going to be quite a cool vibe. It's always a very popular venue. Obviously, all the Stellenbosch students come out and see it. They're going to watch a very stacked Benetton side with a lot of Italian players. So it should be a really cool game. And then Ulster versus Edinburgh at the Kingspan Stadium. Look, you do expect them to do the job. I'll be very surprised if they lose. But put a bit of pressure on them by getting that result. Then on Saturday, the Lions are taking on Zebra Palmer. And at the moment, for me, I personally wouldn't even mind seeing a weakened Lions side running out and having a go whilst putting in a couple of big players into the Currie Cup side, seeing as the Lions cannot make the top 8 because they threw away that game against Leinster last weekend. So I'd almost rather sort of focus on the Currie Cup right now. I don't think that finishing 10th or 11th is going to make that big of a difference. Winning the Currie Cup might mean something. So I'm interested to see, the team at the Lions do put up. Bulls versus Leinster. Now, for the Bulls, again, we go back to the table. And the Bulls sitting in 7th place. They can catch Connacht. And they can finish level with Munster. Now, if Munster, who are playing the Sharks, by the way, were to lose that game and the Bulls were to win with a bonus point, and then they could, as long as there was a winning margin of more than 3, they would have the same amount of wins as the Munster, but a bigger points difference. They could actually go ahead of Munster, which is quite important because in terms of Champions Cup places, Champions Cup works in terms of the URC as the Champions Cup winner if it's the URC player team, the Challenge Cup winner if it's a URC playing, and then the next best 6 sides. So, for example, if Leinster win the Champions Cup and a non-URC side wins the Challenge Cup, then the top 7 URC sides plus a Welsh, then the top Welsh side plus the next best 7 teams, the next best 6 teams really, will join Leinster and the Welsh side in the URC. So Glasgow Warriors, for example, they confirmed in the Champions Cup. But if the Sharks and the Bulls finish 7th or 8th, they do risk not having Champions Cup rugby because a Welsh side has to have Champions Cup. So this is where it gets very interesting in that the Sharks could be missing out on Champions Cup rugby. They've got to beat Munster, and they've got to really, really hope that Connacht lose this weekend. And Connacht are playing against Glasgow Warriors. So that's a pretty big, chance of happening. So there's so many different permutations happening this weekend, which is going to be very interesting to see, and very keen to see how it all unfolds. Sharks can do the Bulls a big favor. Bulls and Edinburgh needs to do Stormers a favor. So it's quite cool to see all the different permutations happening. Dragons versus Scarlets is a bit of a nothing game, but the Ospreys versus Cardiff is quite important because that could determine who's going to be in the Champions Cup next season. With Cardiff and Ospreys, Cardiff 4 points ahead of them, and if the Ospreys get a bonus point win, for example, and prevent Cardiff from getting any points, they can go ahead of Cardiff and bag a Champions Cup spot. So it's all pretty. It's all pretty. What's the word I'm looking for? Interesting, I suppose, is a very loose term. But yeah, it's a lot more than just looking at some victories. There's different games which are going to sort of impact different teams, and that's very, very cool. Moving beyond this week, however, though, it is then straight into play of rugby, and that's going to be very interesting. So whilst those are sort of the permutations with regards to what's going to happen this weekend, there's also now a big push for preparation, really, for the playoffs. And that's why it's the title of the video. It's the last time for the URC side to find four. So, for example, the Bulls hammered Zebra last weekend. Now, that is a big result for the Bulls because they'll go back to winning ways, but it's against a very poor Zebra side. They're now playing against the Leinster side, which will be a bit of a U side. So even beating them might not be massive for them, but form is a strange thing and momentum is a strange thing. Now, if the Bulls are going to be competitive in the playoffs, you want to be going into there on the back of 2 wins, feeling a bit confident. Similarly with the Sharks, who have been very inconsistent. And the final 8 is happening on the first weekend of May. There'll be 4 matches over there, 4 quarterfinals on the 6th of May. The semi-finals then take place on the 13th of May, which is the week later. The grand finals on the 27th of May. So you've got a week break after this weekend. So it'll be interesting to sort of see if or do they then play their players in the Currie Cup? How do they get that right? And so there's a week break because there's Champions Cup and Challenge Cup semi-finals over that last weekend of April. Then there's 2 URC games. Then there's a week break. Well, 2 weeks break actually, I think it is. 13th, 2-week break. And then, 1 week break, sorry. And then, the grand final is on, the 12th. Yeah, there's a 2-week break. No, 1 week break. 1 weekend break. And then the final on the Saturday, 27th of May. So it's not particularly quick and fast. It is quite sort of a week break, 2 weeks, week break. So there's quite a lot of time, which is quite useful in terms of trying to get players back from injury and stuff like that. So, for example, if the Stormers make the final, any players injured now have to be fit by the 27th of May. So they do have a bit of time there. But you've got to continuously weigh up the whole resting players, finding form, getting your structures right, getting yourself ready, as well as winning games. You can't rest players in playoff matches. And then, it's difficult to then drop players who are playing well. So it's an interesting time. It is a very interesting time. Angelo says, I think all they have the potential to win. Hope they don't face each other in the quarterfinals. That is the next problem. First year, our teams had to prepare for 2 international competitions. The lack of depth, major issue. I think that was the whole point, isn't it? It's about finding where we are, finding where the shortcomings in, and then we learn from it and plan for next season. We've now had the opportunity to have both competitions. Can we now move on? Can we now get better at coping? And how do we then make sure that next season we don't have the same issues and we get past these issues? So as long as it's a learning curve, I'm very happy with what we've seen this season. But we need to take a step forward. Also, it's a World Cup year, so if we're being brutally honest, we're not obviously caring as much about the URC maybe as we are more looking towards the Springboks and stuff like that. But and especially when it comes to like injuries, for example, like an Evan Etzebeth, from a Sharks perspective, it's heartbreaking that he's not going to be available for the rest of the season. It's a bit of a worry from a Springbok, but also some people saying, well, maybe a couple of months will be good rest for him, and that's kind of also been a similar sort of reaction to some other injuries and stuff like that. So it's an interesting sort of dynamic this year being a World Cup year. From next year, however, it's like all in on the clubs and the franchises and the unions, where there's no World Cup, just a Rugby Championship and an incoming tour for the Springboks. We're all in on making sure that our local sides compete. And also next year will be year number 3 in Europe. We've now had 2 years to sort things out, and hopefully in the next year or two we're going to start getting the money in. Let's start seeing how that's going to start building our rugby. Also a new Springbok coach. There could be a whole new string of structures within SA Rugby. Obviously, we've seen the Currie Cup and the Nzansi Challenge and the Currie Cup First Division. There's quite a big restructuring currently happening within our domestic scene. So we're in a very interesting time of South African rugby in terms of relooking at our structures and getting that whole thing right. So we will have more time to reflect on the season, but this is kind of the current situation where we're at now. A bit of breaking news is the Sharks have finally signed a fly half. And people very much very excited about it because the 26-year-old Sia Masuku has signed for the Sharks, and people have been talking about the fact that they've been looking for a fly half. Kern Bosch has not played badly. In fact, he's had some very good run of form, but there's been a long sort of call that they needed to find a better fly half. And Buddha Chamberlain seems to have found his place at full back, although the return of Apele Fassi will also have an effect on that. Other options they've apart from those two are very good lines. Very uncharacteristic signing for the Sharks because they usually go out and find a big name signing. But I think this is a good sign. I think that you don't have to always go for your big. You don't have to go and try and sign a Pollard or go find an international 10. Go and find someone who's playing really good rugby and is good enough to play URC level that you can invest in. Sia Masuku is that player. 26 years old, he's coming into his prime, playing brilliant rugby for the Cheetahs. Very exciting rugby as well. I think he's exactly the type of player the Sharks need. And if I think they give him the appropriate backing and they really sort of get behind him, I think he's going to produce a lot of very good performances in the coming year. So I think that's a very shrewd piece of business. Different news I want to chat about a little bit is Jack Noel, who is captain England and captains Exeter Chiefs and very much an England international. Well, he came out and he's on Sunday and tweeted about a decision made by Carl Dixon. And when he yellow carded Ollie Woodburn, who dived on Chris Ashton as Chris Ashton was sliding towards the try line. And a couple of of Exeter players who weren't playing slammed the decision. And that included Luke Cowan-Dickie and Henry Slade. So I think Luke Cowan-Dickie said that rugby has lost the plot, and Slade said, I have no words. Jack Noel then tweeted, I'm actually in shock, shocked. What the hell is happening? That's one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. All capitals, ever. Now, he then deleted the tweet. But he has been called into a disciplinary hearing, which is happening today. In fact, it could be happening right now. And for misconduct. So the Rugby Football Association, RFA, called him into a hearing saying that charge of conduct, this is according to Rugby Pass, he's now has a case to answer following a charge of conduct prejudicial to the interests of the union and game under RFU Rule 5.12, and they've not banned Ollie Woodburn for further, just by the way. He's a free-to-play off, but Jack Noel actually still has to answer for his tweet. Now, they asked the Exeter sort of staff what they felt, and trying to look at the name over here. Where is it? Rob Baxter has come out and given his sort of thoughts about the whole situation and opened up about where Exeter Chiefs sort of stand in the situation. So he's the coach of the Exeter Chiefs, or director of rugby, I think, is his official term. And he came out and said, well, yes, for obvious reasons with Jack's sighting, it didn't come through until yesterday. So for us, so it was coming through as I was getting ready for a players' meeting. And I just mentioned to them saying, look, guys, just be careful. You have to be really careful on these things. That is all we can really say. Jack hasn't done it with any intention of it being directed at the referee at all. At the end of the day, all he was talking about was the decision. It hasn't been directed at Carl Dixon, and it's kind of directed at the game. That is where Jack has got it slightly wrong, but has been done in frustration and at the laws of the game more than the referee. You've got to understand, this is not me saying that the player said anything about the referee is fine. I'm not fine about that at all. We have a great reputation among the refereeing body. I've asked both Tony Spedbury and Paul Halley if there are any issues with our players at any stage. All the feedback I get is that the referees enjoy refereeing the players. They never have any issues with them. We work very hard on that side of things. We expect to have a good working relationship with them. I make sure, regardless of results, all the referees would say I treat them very similar after a game and make sure I shake their hands coming off the pitch. I don't go after them on TV around contentious decisions. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And I'm not going to read the entire thing. He goes on at length about it. But I think this is an interesting case with Jack Noel being charged by the Rugby Football Union, because it continues to sort of add to the whole referee debate, doesn't it? In terms of, can players or should coaches be questioning referees or putting out statements about it? Because World Rugby's got a very sort of protective stance where they're very much protecting the referees and they're not willing to throw them under the bus or kind of allow public or open criticism of them. And World Rugby have been criticised for this approach, and we've seen obviously the big ban on Rassie Erasmus, for example. And that's also coming with change of laws regarding a review of how the system's going to work in terms of giving feedback and stuff like that. And it's a very contentious topic at the moment, and going to be something that's going to be very big in the next couple of months heading to the World Cup. So I think the RFU here are trying to get on the the good side of World Rugby and show that they will themselves be proactive in trying to make sure that this does not become a thing, which some people could argue that SA Rugby should have done maybe with the Rassie situation, and maybe should have done something internally which maybe would have prevented the external ramifications. But again, it's an interesting dynamic because that's a precedent being set, and if they bring Jack Noel into a sighting and say it's unacceptable, you can't say that about a referee. What happens if Steve Borthwick after a game makes comments about a referee, or any of the England coaches, for example? So it's going to be a very interesting precedent that they're about to set. I'm very interested to see what decision they make and how this will impact certain things in the future. So let me know what you think about that down in the comments below, because I think it's the episode into the referee crisis, in inverted commas, that we're currently having across World Rugby. But that's pretty much all the time we've got for us. The big news for me is Sia Masuku to the Sharks, as well as that whole Jack Noel referee thing. I did ask at the beginning of the stream whether a URC side would be able to win the competition. 71% of people have said yes. So let's hope that is the case. We will be live tomorrow night for the Rugby Fans Forum. It'll be at 6 p.m. So it'll be a little bit earlier than usual, but myself, Reason, and Chris will be taking, as well as Carl, I think will be jumping on as well. We'll be looking at the games this weekend, as well as looking at last weekend. We'll be giving you betting tips as well. Half our bets, our big bet landed last week. And so Chris will be giving an update on how we are doing there, and which should be a lot of fun. So we'll see you guys then. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon. Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's guide on how to watch Bulls versus Leinster on a free-to-air broadcaster. This weekend is a very interesting weekend for South African sides because it is the last weekend of URC Group Stage Rugby, round 18, before we move into the playoffs. And still a lot to play for some of the South African sides. And Bulls got a very interesting match ahead of them because they beat Zebra, or they hammered Zebra last weekend, and they're now playing against a Leinster sort of academy side, very young side. Lots of a lot of mainstream players missing. But this Leinster side, which did beat the Lions last week and did have to come back from behind. So a very spirited performance. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Bulls go about business this weekend, because of their last game ready to sort of build some form and find form going into the playoffs. Before we tell you exactly how to watch it, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Now, if you're in the UK and Ireland, you'll be able to watch this match for free on TG4, which is an Irish language free channel. But if you're outside the UK or Ireland, you'll still be able to watch it for free, but you'll have to use something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network. And that geolocates your device to make it seem as if you are in the UK or Ireland. And we recommend ExpressVPN. Link down in the description. We've got a whole step-by-step guide on how to watch the game. So first things first, you're going to download ExpressVPN and install it. And you're going to click on those little three buttons on the right there. It'll open up all the locations. I'm currently connected to a London server. You can connect to an Ireland server or a different UK server. Now, as I said, you can watch every single match of the World Cup for free using a VPN. So get yourself a 12-month subscription, and you can get an extra 3 months for free. We do videos every single week on how you can watch rugby for free using a VPN. So because I'm connected to the UK, I'm currently watching TG4. And this is what's currently on. I've got no idea what it is. Looks very weird, but it is currently working, and this is currently the web browser. You don't have to go and log in or anything like that. It is as simple as that to use, and this is me in South Africa. As soon as you stop using a VPN, you will no longer have access to this channel. So because, as I said, because it's geolocated. So if you try and access this channel without a VPN, it'll say that this video is not available in your location, and you won't be able to watch the action. So that is where a VPN does help. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I said, check out the description. It has all the step-by-step guide that you need to do to be able to watch the game. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys this weekend at all the various watch-alongs. Right, and we are live. Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. It is a Thursday evening, which means, you know what it means, it's the Rugby Fan Forum. And as always, I am joined by a very, trying to describe the panel here, enthusiastic, controversial, passionate, at times, a little bit suspect in some of the chat that we've seen in the group. But moving along here, I'm joined by Chris, Reza, and Cal. Moving my left to right. I think it is your left to right as well. It is your left to right. So, gentlemen, are we all well?
Can't complain, Stevie P.
Well, we can. We're Lions fans, Reza, so we can definitely complain. In fact, we complain a lot, but we're not going to go there.
I'm just used to these kind of things now.
Yeah, no. Look, the two most ridiculous games thrown away last weekend, but I don't want to even talk about it. But yes, so not good to be a Lions fan. We're going to talk about why it might not be a good time to be a Sharks fan as well. So we can go after Carl, but there, and then Chris is smiling because he had another good weekend in the betting sphere last weekend. I'm smiling as well because I'm just sort of blindly, loyally following Chris's bets. So at this stage, it's going pretty well.
I'm pretty proud, Stevie, because we have had a winning weekend since we started, which is nice to have a good start, right? If we started off bad or slowly, we chased it. So it's always good to start off well. So I'm pleased with that.
Listen, if you could do my taxes as well, that'd be great.
Oh, don't! I'm starting that, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, no. Listen, at the rate we're going, I might almost be able to like fill up my car based on the bets by the end of the year. You know, if we're going, if it's doing well, but
as long as you're not paying $5 a unit, are you? It's going to take us a long time.
Sad thing, it's not even $5 a unit. It's still probably going to take me there for the year. Especially with the way the petrol price keeps going up, every single time I'm going to get close to that, like half a tank, it'll go up again. So tough times down here. Get down up to stage 6. Well, stage 8 load shedding disguised as stage 6. So it's fun. But we move and we continue to move. Right, chat. We've got a lot to talk about because, and I'm going to start with the very big news. Because last week there I was doing a watch along, watching the Bulls run in try after try against the amateur side. They pass off a zebra. And all of a sudden, I get a whole bunch of messages on my phone blowing up that Jacques Nienaber has decided to move on from the Springboks after the World Cup and will take up a position with Leinster. Now, it's a very interesting move. It's a very interesting situation. And I think that we're now almost a week later. It's been interesting to see the sort of the different takes. Some people very upset about it. Some people celebrating. Some people saying he should walk away already and that his mind's not going to be in on the World Cup and stuff like that. So it's been an interesting reaction. For me, I think what's always interesting is to see the reaction of where he's going and to see what that sort of reaction. And by and large, I think the Leinster fans are over the moon. Because as much as people might not like him, might not have the best win percentage, I think at the end of the day, he's coming in and he is one of the best defense coaches in the world. And that Leinster side, it's not like they need too much, but it's definitely going to add more to it. So I'm going to work my way down. Chris, we'll go with you. What was your first initial reaction when you saw the news?
What? WTF? I'm going to swear, yeah. Well, firstly, I was actually chatting to my Irish friend. I got a few Irish guys who are chatting the rugby, and I forwarded to him straight away as well. And he spent half an hour making jokes. He thought I was sending him a joke. Then he read, I was like, oh my word, this is real. And I was like, I was exactly that. I was shocked. But the thing is, not more shocked. Why? Why have Leinster appointed? I'm not want to be disrespectful to but Leinster perfect. What? I don't know what real value he's supposed to add when he's all nice, not too disrespectful or whatever. But he's worked with Rassie most of the time. That's a big fish to go in there basically on his own. I'm sticking my neck out. I don't see it succeeding. But good luck to him. And that's all I say. He's done well for the books. He's got his opportunity. I have no idea why Leinster did it. C'est la vie, good luck. You probably might be out of a job in a year. And that's all I've thought about it now, because for the main focus now is that he does the job for the World Cup. Gets us hopefully another win there. And that's all my focus on him right now.
And Reece, your first reaction?
Yeah, I'm also very much similar to Chris. I'm also kind of wondering why Leinster did it. It's making me second guess myself because I'm not entirely sure what they see in Jacques Nienaber that we're all missing. And that's not to say that I think Nienaber is a bad coach. I think that he's mediocre or maybe above mediocre. I think that he's...
Oaks are savages. Oaks won us a World Cup, dude. He won a World Cup.
He was passing water bottles at the World Cup.
Guys, we won the World Cup with a defense. Our defense won us the World Cup. His defense won us the World Cup. The disrespect to this lad.
Say what you want to say. Say what you want to say, but let's just be honest. Rusty is the brains behind that whole World Cup, and I don't think much has changed even since Jacques Nienaber took over. So I don't know. Maybe we're missing something here, and I hope that we get proven wrong. I question the timing a little bit. Very Ian Foster-like, although not on the same level where he was being pushed. Obviously, Foster was pushed out, and Nienaber is left voluntarily. But I wonder why they didn't take any lessons on board with that to say, well, maybe we should be delaying this announcement for later on, or maybe they just don't think it's going to disrupt things that much. Maybe the whole camp is quite happy for Nienaber, and they're all in it to win this World Cup, and then they'll part ways afterwards amicably. I think that's probably the more likely situation.
So apparently, and one of the journalists was very upset because apparently reports were about to break the story that he had signed for Leinster. So apparently that they were about to do this whole big reveal, exclusive Jacques Nienaber leaving, and apparently that forced them to jump the gun. Which, if that's the case, I actually don't mind, to be honest. You'd rather hear from the official source and then to be very transparent and say, this is what's happening. The announcement's there, now it's done. Don't worry about it for the next 6 months. Now we can shift our focus.
When you say jump the gun, though, we don't know when they were planning to announce it. I mean, to me, if they had announced it any later, it would have been severely disruptive. Now it's sort of okay. It gives everyone time to settle into this reality.
Yeah, I think it's actually not the worst time, to be honest. I said we're 2-3 months still. I mean, from away from the international season, we've still got May, June, so it's plenty of time for everything to die down.
Can I just quickly just think now that I haven't even thought of, like I said, I hadn't thought about it. Now it's thinking to me, maybe this hire is because when Leinster do lose, it's against a powerful rampaging team like La Rochelle and the Bulls, possibly a Toulouse could. And maybe he is the final cog to bring something that when they come up against a team like that, he's got something like this Springbok mentality to bring them over. So I can't see, because other than that, they seem to have what they need. So I can only think they want to bring that flair, whatever, thought into the process of them actually getting over the line. Because it looks like they've got a factory of these oaks coming through. So it looks like they're going to be strong for years and years. So that was my final thoughts.
Yeah, look. I mean, with Stuart Lancaster leaving, there was always big talk about who was going to come in and what type of person was going to come in. I just think it shows the pool that Leinster have and how elite Leinster are at the moment, that they can sit there as, and I said the other day, they're the best side in Europe. And we said, oh, how can you say it? They haven't even won the Champions Cup in the last couple of years. But I mean, I think in the last 5 years, there's been 5 different Champions Cup winners. So I don't think that's the best measure to determine who's the best side. But if you look at how many finals they've been and how many times they have won in the last decade, and right now they're about 90% of the best team in the world. So I do think they're the best side in the world. And for them to sit there and go, right, we're losing Stuart Lancaster, we back ourselves the best club in the world, but what can we do? And for them to go and say, you know what, let's go and poach the Springbok coach and bring him as an assistant, shows you how big the pool that Leinster have at the moment, and the fact that they're not resting the laurels and looking to innovate. Carl, your sort of thoughts on the whole thing?
Well, I think it's almost the same kind of scenario as, well, I mean, Stuart Lancaster is what built Leinster into quite obviously continued their power, but has changed them a little bit, and they're dominating basically everyone at the moment. But I mean, remember when Stuart Lancaster was head coach of England, everyone hated him. Everyone thought he was shit. I actually quite liked Stuart Lancaster as a coach. I thought he was one of our better coaches in recent years.
Well, let's be honest. The England fans are never a particularly good measure when it comes to deciding whether a coach is successful or not.
Yeah, but I can't exactly say the Bot fans are either.
No, you make a good point. You make a very good point.
We're about as bad as each other. The only difference is England has money.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
No, he's not wrong, dude. We're poor out here. Dude, our players are flying economy to Qatar and arriving in like the UK 24 hours after they've left Cape Town, dude. It's tough out here.
Just a little private.
Hey, I had to do it. They have to do
it. He's not wrong.
No, I don't know. I think the whole the defense mentality is a good point. Although considering how strong their defense can be at times. We'll see how it goes. I think it's unlikely that he'll fail at Leinster because he's got like basically the best platform in the world. It's like essentially someone being handed the Crusaders role and being like, right, all you have to do is the same thing.
Look, but that's kind of how I feel about when he took over from Rusty post World Cup. He was handed a platform, which was, I mean, that squad after 2019 was rolling by itself for at least 2 years, So,
And in a way, that's the same as when Eddie Jones took on England. I mean, he had arguably the best young team in the world, and for 2 years became unstoppable, and then basically ruined them.
So I guess we have to.
That.
I guess we have to wait for his tenure to be a bit longer in this new role and see what happens.
I was surprised because I thought it was going to be Rassi that stepped away, and Ninaba would take us for another 4 years. That was kind of what I thought the plan was.
I don't know. I kind of always, and sorry to Brain was talking about it, and he said those two have always been a package deal since for like the last decade, basically. Apparently they met back in the army days. They've been mates for like years and years and years and years and years. So that's why it was interesting in like the press release, and I wonder if it will be the case where they emphasize that Rassi's got a contract for another 2 more years. And they emphasize that in the contract to say that he's locked in for at least until 2025. Because it's interesting, because, I mean, for example, if Leicester come out and said that they had appointed Rassi as the director of rugby and Jacques was coming in as a defence coach, you can go and sit there and think, hell, well, because they always seem to go to the So it's interesting to see what will happen with Rassi now.
I know they've got money, but I don't know if they have that much money.
And that's also a big leap of faith. I'm not saying people that, but he's going to get a lot of inside knowledge of Irish rugby, right? And he is buddies with Rassi, what I'm not saying he's going to rattle and stuff, but it just feels like it's just an odd one. Like it feels, I don't know, it feels odd that Leinster would do this. Like I just think they created something in that culture there, which is really much theirs.
To be fair, I think what they were saying is on the opposite way. I think what they mentioned, what they spoke about a lot in the press release, is the fact that he's going to have so much information on South African rugby, and
that's why I said the first bit, right? That he's going to be able to. That's the final cog. If that's what they feel they needed, he is the good cog to bring in. If it's not a New Zealander like Robinson or something.
Yeah, and look, he comes with all the inspirational speeches. The man's going to talk about, pressure to privilege, and you got to do it for the family. He's going to do it. Pressure is not having the lights on. I'm not sure what he's going to be able to quote on, because they always seem to be able to motivate the box with load shedding
and
all that shit happening.
But then you see, just talk about South African coaches. From Kron went to Munster. By all intents and purposes failed, and he was referenced by Rassi. I'm not saying that Bath have turned, well, they have played a lot better. It's the end of the season, not a lot to play for, but it looks like Bath are on the We'll really tell next season. And then Franco Smith as well, right? He did a pretty much half average job at Italy, but he's started shakily. Glasgow went, I think they lost to Benetton in the first round, didn't they, of the URC. And now they're pretty strong. They're pretty cruising. Another team you want to go there and play.
I think they're the favourite to Challenge Cup, to be honest.
Yeah, so... that's what I think. This is great for his career. I mean, the fact that he's landed there immediately after what he's gone through is interesting. But maybe onwards and upwards for him. Who knows? Yeah, like say, wish him luck. It's not derogatory. Like it's just like his history. It's like there's a big leap of faith for me that Leinster brought him in. That's just what I'm thinking.
Look, at the end of the day, I think it's interesting that. One would hope that the Leinster people probably know more about these things than we do. So it's interesting to see who like the type of people that see value in different type of coaches and different people. Where we sit there say, oh, he's useless, and some other people who, as I said, would hope know a lot more than we do see the value. But now the big question is, and what we get to debate over the next probably year. I don't see us announcing a coach this year. To be honest, I don't see why we rush the process. I mean, unless there's someone that they're so adamant about that they want to go out and get, but. If Rassi Rasmus is remaining in the role, I don't think it puts us under too much pressure to appoint someone. But the question is, who next? First, throw some names out here, people. Who do we all want?
Eddie Jones.
No. No.
He would take it. I reckon he would take it.
After the World Cup, walk away from Australia.
He's already
after the next World Cup, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's probably grinding his teeth right now, going, flip, why did I say yes to Australia if I just waited it out a little bit more?
Look, knowing Australia, he might very well be sacked after the World Cup, to be fair. So
I wouldn't be. I don't know if Dobbo deserves a run, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is Van Kraan.
Yeah,
I don't know about Smith.
You know, the Rugby connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there also comes into the conversation the inevitable talk about, the transformation of coaches and so on and so on. And obviously, Stick is a big
Well, he's
talking
been
point there.
groomed to be it. I mean, they've been grooming him to be the next head coach for the last. I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to be now. I kind of thought that they were looking at like a very long term, even like post 2027 type thing with him.
I don't think it's a terrible time. I think maybe they have had their plans rushed a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's going to be post the World Cup. There's probably no better time to experiment.
You're right.
And so I'm not. I mean, I'll be very honest. My head's been all over the place with these names that are being thrown out, and no one in particular is standing out to me. And so, with that in mind, you probably go with, well, what's the best risk to reward ratio? I mean, if Stick comes off, you've got a happy nation all round. If he doesn't, well, it is what it is.
Yeah,
That
we know it'll not be a happy nation if it doesn't come off. That's the sad thing.
Yeah.
But I think for me, what my biggest thing is, I think that because you throw around the names, you throw around Jan Ackerman, you throw around Dobbo, you throw around Zonditas the internal. Dion Davids, for example, has got head coach experience. Did actually a very good job at EP Kings. I was based in Grahamstown, so we used to cover a lot of EP Kings, and it was impressive the job he did with what he had. I mean, the players he had, the resources he had was next to nothing, and he did produce a couple of good results and nice performances. So he's another person already in the setup. But for me, I think it's 50% who the head coach is, but for me, it's all about who they surround the head coach with. If you're going to put Zondina Stick in, I back that decision, but you've got to make sure that you're giving him the right tools. So you've got to go out and say, right, we're losing Jacques, who's heading up the defense. Let's go and find the best defense coach we can. Now, whether it's you go and find like a Joey Mangala and say, right, are you ready for the big job? Or whether you go overseas and you bring somebody specific in. Because we now need to replace Jacques Nielba as well as Felix Jones. So we've got at least two coaches leaving post-World Cup. We don't know what's going to happen with for example, Dion Davids, if he's going to. But also, it kind of all depends on the performance, doesn't it? If we get knocked out before we reach playoffs, then all of a sudden the entire coaching staff's headed on the block. So, yeah, I'm interested to see who else gets involved, not just the head coach. Could we be seeing Dobson in as an attack coach, for example? Or in that capacity, do we see Jan Ackerman coming back in as a specific role, not necessarily the head coaches?
I'd love to see a Stick surrounded by a Dobbo or an Ackerman. I think that's power combo and really speaks towards our idea of developing coaches. Obviously transformation aside, but I think just developing local coaches, we keep going with that trend. I think we're one of the only countries who's been able to do it consistently year in, year out for decades now, and not having to resort to coaches outside of the country, which is really cool. And I really love that about us. So long may it live.
I think teams go in cycles, unlike maybe the All Blacks probably having their worst cycle, but we went through, when was it, like after the 2011, after 2000s, we had a bad period for a while, then we peaked at 2007, and then the PW area we're just at the back end of the World Cup, and then Alistair then Heineken Meyer. So it's just like,
yeah.
I think we should. We were bad when Alistair, let's face it. We were getting hammered left, right, and centre.
But the poor guy couldn't select anybody outside today.
It's
just like
exactly. No, exactly. I just think we are with our talent. We're in a good period, and I still think even this World Cup side, even though more than half are going to be the same guys from last World Cup, are still going to be around, and we always got talent. You're right. It's more than just the one person,
Yeah,
he's not as I know he's not obviously South African, but he's had so much experience with the Sharks. Is John Plumbury not worth having a look at?
So my next question, I was going to come to you, Carl, actually forward, is could we see an outside and a non-South African head coach? Personally, I don't think an outside coach will work. I think that to be successful as a Springbok coach, you need to understand. Yeah, and maybe that's why John Plumtree is an option, but you need to understand the South African landscape. You need to understand South Africans. You need to understand what's really at play. As we said, mentioned, transformation, whether you like it, whether you hate it, you love it, it is a reality. It is something that has to be dealt with. And Rusty and Jacques have been so successful because they tackled it on head on, and they didn't try and keep it as a weird thing in the corner. They basically embraced it, said this is a reality. We actually have to work towards it. So I personally think that we are not ready for an Eddie Jones, for example, or like if it raises because you have to understand how the South African rugby structures various work and stuff like that. But Carl, any options for you that you think would be good from an international perspective?
The only one that really jumps to mind because of obviously Scott Robinson signing with the All Blacks is John Plumtree.
Yeah, I mean that's
and he's perfect because he was in Durban for so long.
Yeah,
I think that's a great shot. Actually, a really good outside bet. But I think I'm with Stevie. I don't think that South Africans.
I don't think it'll happen. But I wouldn't. I think he's the best shot because he was at the Sharks for so long.
Yeah, I agree.
He's
It's
almost
really
like an honorary South African.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm not sold on the Van Graan chat. I don't. I mean, I think Munster was a bit of it wasn't the best thing. Bars may be looking out, but I don't think we've seen a lot. For example, I said like a Franco Smith, for example. I mean, he failed in inverted commas in Italy. I think he did some good things there. I think at the end of the day, I admired the approach where he walked in and said, you know what, I can go and pick the best players right now and be half competitive, or I can say, stuff it, I'm going to go and find a bunch of youngsters, and we're probably not going to be particularly competitive the next 5 years, but maybe, in 5 to 10 years, you can actually start becoming a side that's not just a walkover. And I don't think it is yet, but I think I still have faith in a couple of years Italy will be a lot better.
You keep riding that train, my man.
Come on.
I love Italy. Italy is the one actual. They're not even minnows. They're decent, but I really want one of their jerseys. Their white ones are so nice.
Oh, the new away one.
Yeah.
The navy and the.
On the jersey
this season was so sexy.
Can we talk about how disappointing the French jersey is for a World Cup, a home World Cup?
I actually haven't seen it yet.
It's just a blue shirt.
It sounds about right.
It's just
it's
literally.
What more can you do though?
But they started with come on. They started with the blue shirt template. They then added the logos and went, actually that's fine.
Okay, but
At least in 2007, England and France had that one with like the swish down it, which was a really nice kit.
Yeah. Was very nice.
We'll always have Argentina, who always got nice kits. So we always back them to lead the shirt. The shirt.
Argentina.
Yeah, they always winning. Yeah.
And then we're getting a Nike shirt this year.
Oh yeah, we're getting Nike back.
Yeah, it's amazing what a swoosh can do.
Yeah, a little tick there. The good news is that means I might be able to actually afford one of the old Asics once they all throw them on sale, because we know the Nike one's going to be about $2.
I remember I used to love those Nike jerseys back in 98, 99. I remember also that gold for Springboks, that gold thing on the top of the shoulder, which wasn't too bad.
Well, Chris, I'm glad you can remember that.
Yeah, glory days, man.
The Argentina Nike jerseys were wild. So I'm hoping that they do something cool for us, because we've never really had something like out there, which is fine.
Out there.
But like with that big away jersey, like they do something cool. Like
my favorite one was definitely and they never used it, was the Japan away kit for the last World Cup.
That was
so nice. It was like blue and dark. It was like dark navy, almost black stripes. So good.
Yeah, I definitely don't have enough money to buy any of these jerseys, but
no. But we can dream. We can.
Yeah, click like and subscribe, please. Buy a jersey.
Please consider becoming a member. You can send us a super chat, and so we can all go get some jerseys. We'll all sit here with our different jerseys. I'll take Argentina. I'll take one for the team.
Take one for the team. I'm taking England. I'm taking one for the team.
No, listen. Yeah, unlucky, dude. Unlucky. In fact, I want something cool. I want to get like a Namibian jersey, just something different. Oh, actually,
I'd like a Uruguay jersey.
I want to get a Uruguay jersey.
Yeah.
We digress.
Oh no, actually, I would get a Chile jersey. Their first World Cup.
Hey, this is why you jump into the fan forward, because why talk about the rugby? We can talk about the jerseys. I think we have a jersey episode where we just sit there and just look at jerseys and we can do like a tier list of which the best jerseys are.
Absolutely, I'm down for that.
There we go. But
let's team.
So, chaps, yeah, that's to bring the Springbok coaching conversation. Speaking of somebody who does have something going on, I think Chris, let's move to the betting segment now.
Yeah.
I want to finish on the weekend preview and the fact that
Sure.
Sharks are going to be playing in the Challenge Cup next year with the Lions.
Sure.
So this is where we are, and look at that record.
Yeah.
Things you love to see.
Yeah, there we are. So yeah, last week we had a 1-on-1 win-loss record, but we up in profits because our bigger multi, the first bigger multi of this thing we're doing with you guys is came in. So we made some profits there. The first one, the two legs came easily. Pacifica and Reds overs, and Brumbies won comfortably. And Gloucester was the only one that let us down last week. They were 15-0 up. 15-0 up against Bath, and I thought, well, that's it. That's exactly how it should be going. And Van Kraan worked his magic and screwed us on that one. And then, the bigger multi, the Brumbies over 40, which again, second week in a row, we've needed a 78th minute Brumbies try, basically, to come in. But it arrived. That's a win's a win, right? Don't look back. The Reds Pacifica game was heaps of points as we thought. And Bulls, actually, I would wish I lumped more on Bulls because I said 50 points when we did our predictions and it ended up being 60. So that was a nice one to probably draw out as a single as well. But anyway, brought home the bacon. We're 5 weeks in, slowly building up that profit. Like I said, I wanted to build up slowly. Because also I might be doing more bets and we'll have discussed how we did it. Try giving you guys more over the weekend, but because we're on a Thursday, we got still limited team news. The bookies are getting more and more suspect about giving out points lines, which is one of my favorites. So at the moment, we're not getting much points lines. They're now catching on to way to team news and stuff. So when I do it tonight, I'm working with about 30% of the markets and games that I would probably be looking at, but we're doing well. And that's all that matters. But that's why we're keeping it as it is. And then we'll slowly build it up. So just looking at the card this weekend, actually, luckily, the nicer fixtures are tomorrow. The Saturday games are not as appetizing for me. So I'm actually worked out all right for this weekend. And for this weekend, I've decided to go just two simple again, just 2 1-unit bets. At treble, we'll go Chiefs over 43.5 points against the Drua because Drua just away from home they just don't defend, and Chiefs are just awesome at the moment. They made some changes, but that team is still strong enough. I don't think the weather's going to be bad, so expect an open game. I can easily see like a 60-20 type of scoreline here. So Chiefs to cover 43.5 points. Rebels versus Crusaders over 8.5 tries for the total amount of tries of the match. I would have maybe even made this bet 1.5 units, but not for this leg. Just because Havili comes in for the Crusaders, and Mumanga and Havili together are literally worth 12 points to the Crusaders. However, Havili hasn't played in I think 2 months, so I'm worried about how sticky he's going to be tomorrow. And also just Crusaders away. I mean, last time they went to Reds, it wasn't a high-scoring game, and this feels like a similar matchup. So I'm worried that the Rebels go there and get stuck into the Crusaders and wear them down. So that's the only reason why I haven't made this maybe 1.5, 2-unit bet. But I'm still confident it's going to be like a 60-point game, and we'll see about 10 tries. And then straight out Ulster win at home to Edinburgh. They're so solid at home. Just to be at 1.20, it's not massive odds, but it brings up the total bet to 3.57, which is nice. So pretty confident. 1 unit, if you want to follow it, and because I've said about what I've said about Satyrs, maybe bet a bit more because I'm still pretty confident it's going to arrive, but that's the only reason why it's 1. And then I've got another little cheeky double in there. Tomorrow night, Newcastle Falcons at home to Northampton. Newcastle haven't been too great, but they've got their Argentinians, their RGs back, which always give them, strengthen them a lot. Newcastle at home on a Friday night under the lights with a bit of rain, which is expected is going to be moist. That nice word. So I think that's going to bring the game. That's going to bring the game closer. So I don't believe Southampton ran away with it. I don't think the Falcons could even win it, but I see a Newcastle 7-point win. And then I got Blues third to win by 13 or more. The cap was at 17. On team news, Blues are pretty much full strength. Waratahs have made loads of changes. They're at Blues. Blues should move on again from a good win against the Rebels. I think they should take care of the Tars by more than 20. So quite confident that double will come as well. 1 unit. So yeah, if these two come in, we get another decent four unit profit if they both land. If one of them do, still all right. We don't lose much, and we'll still profit. So, yeah, those are the bets for this weekend. And I hope you guys ever follows. Good luck, and yeah, so may this continue. I'm enjoying the ride so far with you guys.
Yeah, so am I. So am I. As I said, I've whilst as the role chat before, I was throwing the money onto those bets. And if you guys would like to throw your money on those bets, please do go and get yourself a BetCoza account. All the details are in the description. You can go and click on the link there and get yourself a BetCoza account. Those are the odds on BetCoza.
I just wanted to say, Steve, these odds are all BetCoza odds, and they currently these were the odds and the prices at time of going on to show. So there is caveats there. You might go there, it might have changed, but yeah, play with 1 point either side. If it's changed, wouldn't go more than that. But these are all through bets.co.za. And yeah, obviously, if you want to follow other tips, so you can catch me on Twitter as well at the Crow Tips. But yeah, let's do it. Let's smash another profitable weekend. We have another losing record weekend here.
Things you'll have to see. Yeah, the saving for the Argentina jersey starts now. I think that's where this is all going forward. So yeah, we're gonna have to keep waiting so I can get myself a Los Pumas jersey, especially with the new logo. By the way, have you all seen that they have rebranded? And
I'm a little confused.
Well, for years and years and years, they were called Los Pumas, and yet didn't have a puma on the actual jersey.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was a Jaguar.
There was never a puma in that badge.
Sorry?
Oh, I got mad. There was never a puma in that badge.
So, no, it was a Jaguar. It wasn't.
Jaguar, that's it.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was like one of those like weird rugby facts where it was like the pumas. I mean, it's like the Lions running out with like a leopard on their shirt. So I suppose it makes sense. I'm gonna miss the old logo with the spots and stuff.
They just gotta be careful not to annoy Jimmy Stonehouse running around shouting "Los Pumas."
Jimmy Stonehouse is somebody that some people have been saying give him the box job, which would be
that would be fun. That would be fun.
How's that for promotion from going from a Curry Cup side to hitting up the box?
I would support that. I mean, if we go down one, at least we're going to go down wondering.
No, exactly.
It's going to be different.
If Mark Boucher is allowed to coach the Proteas, anyone can coach the box.
Hey, there we go. I still don't understand how Jimmy Stonehouse has not been given a shot at the top 4 units. I don't understand. I just like why.
Probably because he's a cuck person.
I think wow.
What? Jeez.
You know what? I want to put you in a room. Have you seen the size of that guy? I want to put you in a room and I want to say, Jimmy, this is reason. He's got something to say to you.
I didn't mean that. I just mean that when things like that happen and you've got someone performing so well, and I don't know anything about him personally. All I'm saying is that there's usually something else behind the scenes that we aren't.
Yeah, it's clicky. So. It's very clicky in sports, eh?
Maybe he doesn't know the right people. But speaking of the right people, maybe the wrong people, this weekend, the Sharks are set to miss on Champions Cup Rugby. That's the big thing I'm going to throw out. And as promised, let's just talk a little bit about what the ramifications are this weekend, because it is a little bit complicated. So this weekend is obviously the last weekend of United Rugby Championship group stages. Now, there's 2 things at stake. Obviously, your top 8 will go to the playoffs, quarterfinals, semi-finals. Final, it's all pretty standard. Your top 4 will get a home quarterfinal. Then your higher ranked team will get the home semi-final, the home final. There's nothing like the Champions Cup where it's all predetermined or whatever. It's just if you're a higher seed, you get the home game. Easy. However, Champions Cup qualification is a completely different thing because first things first, the 4 Shield winners get Champions Cup promotion. Now those Shields are the South African Shield with those 4 sides. The Irish Shield with the 4 Ireland sides, the Welsh Shield with the 4 Welsh sides, and then the Italy/Scotland side with the 2 Italian sides and the 2 Scottish sides. So Stormers, for example, are in the Champions Cup next season. They've already won the South African Shield. Leinster have won the Ireland Shield. Glasgow have won the Italy/Scotland Shield. But it gets quite interesting because the Ospreys and Cardiff will play against each other this weekend. Cardiff currently have a 4-point lead on Ospreys, but so that if Ospreys were to win with a bonus point and keep Cardiff pointless, then they could actually jump into the Champions Cup. So it's actually quite a cool. It's called Judgment Day. That's the match that's been labelled. So that should be quite a cool match to watch with something a little bit on the line. It's about the only thing the Welsh teams are playing for at the moment. But the important,
it's huge. That's massive.
Yeah,
That's
it's gonna,
massive.
and they're playing that at the Principality Stadium,
Yeah.
so it's going to be a buzz. So it's going to
should be
be.
quite cool.
I'm not big on the Welsh derbies, but that's one I've got my eye on. I could actually.
yeah, well, at least there's something at stake, like something quite real at stake. But the reason those games are so important is that, as I said, one of those teams have to be in the Champions Cup. So that's the first 4 spots from the URC. The next 2 spots can be if a URC side wins either Champions Cup or the Challenge Cup, they will get a spot in the Champions Cup. So the Champions Cup at the moment doesn't really matter because it's basically just Leinster there. But the Challenge Cup,
That's
for
5.
example,
That's 5 spots so far. Then.
6 spots. Champions Cup winner, Challenge Cup winner.
Oh right, sorry. Okay.
If they don't fall within the top, if they're not the Shield winners.
Yeah.
So, for example, Benetton, currently sitting in 9th, if they were to win the Challenge Cup, they would get a Champions Cup spot. Once that's all been determined, it is then usually the next 4 sides in the URC. So supposedly it's the 4 Shield winners and the next best 4 sides, assuming that none of those 8
skipping
are
out to 1.
the Challenge Cup or Champions Cup winners. So, okay, it's getting a little bit complicated. But at the moment, the Sharks sit in 8th place. And they are a couple points behind Connacht. So they are sitting with 46 points. The Bulls are sitting with 48 points. Connacht will play against Glasgow this weekend. If they lose, they can go up. If they lose and they get a losing bonus point or 2 losing bonus points, they can go up to 51 points. That will put them out of touch of the Sharks. But if the Bulls win, just a win for the Bulls will take them to 52. A bonus point win for the Bulls would take them to 53. So they can go to 6th. They're playing against the young Leinster side, so you're kind of thinking that the Lions didn't get the job, but I think the Bulls should be able to do that. But the Sharks, with a bonus point win against Munster, who just beat the Stormers at home, would take them to 51 points. And afterwards, it goes to wins. So Connacht have got 10 wins, Sharks have got 9 wins. So if Sharks win, Connacht lose, they'll be tied on wins. The points difference is the third thing they look at. Connacht sitting with a 32 points difference, Sharks with a 6 points difference. So not that it's any complicated or anything like that, but if the Sharks finish 8th, they will not get Champions Cup rugby because one of the Welsh sides have to have Champions Cup rugby. That is the big. That's the big result at the end of the day. They've got to get themselves ahead of Connacht as well as the Bulls.
Which doesn't look very
well. The reason why it gets so interesting is that Connacht are playing Glasgow, so and it's Glasgow at home. So you're going 9 times out of 10, especially with the way Glasgow are playing. You're backing Glasgow to get the job. Glasgow can't drop down from 4th. They can't lose that 4th spot. They've got that right.
And Glasgow they did one on the weekend, didn't they? But they hadn't been playing that well.
Yeah.
But Connacht aren't great travellers, but you can't hedge. That's a tough one to call. That's the interesting game. So that's the bogey.
This weekend is actually so cool because there's so many different things at stake. Even tomorrow is the battle for 2nd. If Ulster win, they get 2nd. But if Edinburgh go and pull out a wild upset, and Stormers beat Benetton, and that match is happening first, then Stormers can just sneak into that 2nd spot. I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
But pressure does strange things to strange teams.
Stormers did cost themselves, was massive that game, because for me, something like I said last week, something doesn't look right. They didn't look right again last weekend. It didn't look like they were there. They were present. And if they have to go to Ireland to win this competition, there's no way that team spent. I don't see any. I think that was their season. Libbok needed to
big shots.
Penalties
Big
there.
shots.
Yeah, that's a big shot. I know, but I'm not convinced that they look spent. I don't know how they get themselves up to get on another plane to go to potentially go back.
I think this weekend tells us everything we need to know, to be honest, in terms of what their prospects are. If they scrape through this weekend,
Which I don't think they're going to do. I think they're going to hammer Benetton just because they're not. That's my definite feel. But I just don't think they playing Benetton and going to Ulster or Leinster's not. It's chalk and cheese. It's not even in the same league. Men's versus boys.
Yeah,
And
so-
Donny Craven's going to be a good stadium for Stormers to play
Yeah,
at.
I think they'll play good rugby there as well. I think the field, it will hold up a lot better. The front row, I'm very keen to see Thomas Gallo playing. Though he's starting for Benetton, but it's a completely changed Benetton. I mean, the Benetton side, they've changed the entire.
Yeah.
pack. Not
And we got Willems in at 12 now as well, which I like.
Yeah.
Lubbock and him access with
Evan
with
was
the
starting.
way he's playing. Yeah, I think this is a bounce back. This is not a good spot for Benetton.
No,
That's mine.
But I think Benetton have realised it. I think Benetton have said they're going, right, chaps, we can't qualify for playoffs. We're not gonna. The only way we can make the Champions Cup is if we win the Challenge Cup. So we're taking all our Italian internationals, apart from I think Nicola Canoni, Giuliani, a couple of the guys are still playing, but Canoni's on the bench. But there's no Lamaro, there's no Thomas Albanose is playing, but Elisha Briggs has been pulled out the entire front. And I mean, I'm surprised that even Thomas Albanose is playing. I would be racking them all up in Cottonwood and saying, just go out, play against the Stormers, whatever happens, we're focusing on that Challenge Cup semi-final. So they can win 2 more matches in the Challenge Cup, they'll get that Champions Cup.
It's just the Benetton at home of they've done all right, but this is a whole different ball game for these guys, right? This is a whole new experience level, pace, everything. Especially going to come up against a fired up South African side, which the Stormers will be, and that the little crowd there's going to be. It's a whole different experience. It's not easy. They might run with the Stormers for a little while, but Stormers will pull away to 50-point lead.
I think the fact that they've changed the entire pack, like it's a brand new pack, 1 through 8, brand new pack. I think they've said, "Now stuff it. Just go all plays and enjoy." We're focusing on the Challenge Cup. So, look,
just go watch the game in Bohemia.
Yeah, if nothing else, it means the Stormers can try put a bit of pressure on Ulster. So they go get a bonus point, get themselves to 68 points. Ulster will know that they need to win and they can't slip up. And maybe anything will happen. Can happen. But I think Ulster especially are a team that I don't think will be too worried. But yeah, elsewhere, Lions are playing against Zebra. Personally, I would actually be putting our URC side into the Curry Cup and saying, let's go and beat the Bulls in the Curry Cup. Couldn't give a rat's ass what happens in that Zebra game. The season's done. The only thing we can potentially win is the Curry Cup. So I wouldn't be even worrying about that Zebra game, to be brutally honest. Plus Zebra. So, the Champions Cup, the Curry Cup scene could probably beat them.
Yeah, 100%. But to be honest, we'll be following your watch along, Stevie, and making sure you keep us up to date, because I, quite frankly, don't know what the hell's going on. I think it's the most ridiculous format in the world. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll trust you to keep us informed.
It's quite straightforward once you sort of read. I mean, I had to go read a couple of times, but it's quite cool. It's cool that every sort of game this weekend, bar like the Lions, Zebra, and the Scarlets, I think they're playing Dragons. Yeah, those are like the only games which mean absolutely nothing this weekend.
Yeah, I don't like this whole if you just because you're Welsh you get to play the Shield.
That's the whole agreement with the EPCR and stuff like that.
It's nonsense.
I suppose like the UEFA Champions League, the same type of thing. There are a certain amount of spots guaranteed for certain nations, stuff like that. So
there are, but I mean, if you finish within a certain ranking in your league, you get rewarded for it. Regardless of what happens. In fact, you're more likely to benefit if someone else automatically qualifies by another tournament in that format. This one is just like, well, you could be 14th and 15th, and you still got a chance of going in. And it's just like, you'd have to
be at least 13th, because it would have to mean that the Welsh sides occupy all the bottom.
Sorry, Steve, 13th. My bad.
But and then Zebra, so you have to be at least 12.
Well, it's the same. It's the same as this American football, right? I mean, you get teams making playoffs with way worse records than teams that haven't made it.
And
I agree. It doesn't sit too well, but I don't know why I chose this format.
It is what it is. It just feels like, especially an organization like the Sharks, who are sitting there going, well, honestly, we're competing against them for a spot, and you've put in all the investment in order to have a good season.
Well, you know what? Don't lose 8
middle.
freaking games and be shit. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. They got their own bloody.
Don't be shit. It's not hard. Just don't be shit.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Okay.
If the Lions were sitting here at 8, I'd be like protesting. I'd be like those stop oil people. I'd be running into EPCR meetings, pouring like paint over them, saying, no, get my boys in there. But it's the Sharks, so it couldn't happen to a nicer side with all the investments. And imagine even Etzebeth playing Challenge Cup next season. And it'll be not be happy.
Yeah.
But
Well, if you go win it, let's go win the one.
yeah, well, shows you can win something, you know.
Steve, let me get these predictions, bro. Let's go.
Yeah, I
Let's
was
do
about to say,
this.
we're going to move to the predictions. So, Reason, you're our Curry Cup guy, hey?
Oh, please.
Nah, we'll give Chris the Curry Cup.
What?
Well, I have to give somebody the Curry Cup.
Okay.
Unless, how about this? Chris, I'll give you Super Rugby. I'll take Curry Cup. Reason, you can take yours.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Look at me being a nice guy. Let's do some quick fire predictions and then let's wrap up. Right. We're going to start with the URC. Riza, are you ready?
No, not really.
Well, Shay. A bit like Benetton, Shay. You're just going to have to play.
Exactly.
Okay. We're starting in the Darnie Craven. Speaking of the Italians, Stormers versus Benetton.
Stormers by 25.
Stormers 25. Ulster, Edinburgh.
Ulster by 12.
Lions, Zebra.
Lions by 15.
15, right. Bulls,
Bravo.
Leinster.
Sorry, say again.
Bulls, Leinster.
Yeah. Sure. This is actually a tough one. I know they're sending it.
Hey. No justification. Quick fire prediction.
Okay. All right. Bulls by 17.
17. Okay. Dragon Scarlets.
I'm gonna go Scarlets by 10.
It's a big 14-15 game. It's huge. It's huge over there. Sharks,
Game of
Munster.
this weekend.
The last one, say it again.
Sharks, Munster.
Yeah, this is the big one here. All right. I'm gonna say Munster by 13.
Woo! That's a big one as well.
Calling it.
Well, then Sharks definitely wouldn't deserve Champions Cup. Anyway, Ospreys, Cardiff. Judgment Day.
Big one. Let's go Ospreys by 13.
13. To
Confirming,
try and
confirming.
steal that last spot. And then finally, Glasgow, Connacht.
This is a tough one, but I'm gonna go Connacht.
Ooh,
And I'd say Connacht by 9.
Connacht by 9.
Oh, that's a
Okay.
good call.
Okay, I like that. Right, Reza, you can go grab the Curry Cup fixtures in the meantime, and I'm going to go and grill Chris on the Super Rugby fixtures. Just another 4 this weekend. So, Chris, tomorrow we're starting with the Chiefs versus Fiji and Drua.
Chiefs by 45.
Jeepers. Rebels versus Crusaders.
Crusaders by 20.
Right, Waratahs versus Blues.
Waratahs by 20. I mean, Blues.
I was about to say,
Blues.
weren't you just telling us to bet Blues by 13?
Hold up. Wait.
Blues by 20. Sorry,
I'm about to
man.
start panicking on my bets. Supposed to go cashing out.
No, Blues. It could be even more, just depending. Yeah.
Okay.
Blues by
and then-
20.
And then Force Highlanders.
Oh, this is a tricky one. Highlanders by 5.
Highlanders by 5. Okay, there we go. So some big scores predicted there by Chris.
Right, Stevie.
Hit me up with the Curry Cup.
Hit you up with the Curry Cup. Tomorrow we have the Free State Cheetahs versus Tull Sharks.
Cheers by 20. CM Masuku masterclass. Watch this space.
Sure. 20, all right. Pumas Province. Well, very good game.
Yeah, no, Pumas by 15.
Ooh, okay. Bulls Lions.
I don't know what teams they're going to put out. The problem is the Lions are going to be down and play the Curry Cup side, so I'm going to go Bulls by 10.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, the Bulls will also be playing the Curry Cup side.
Yeah, but their Curry Cup side is better than our Curry Cup side.
And Griquas Griffins to finish it off.
Where is it? It's in.
I'm actually not too sure. I'd be lying to you if I told you. I'll tell you now in a second.
I think it's in Kimberley.
Yeah,
right?
Vinterstraat Park. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So Kimberley Greek was by 13.
Fantastic. I will probably not watch a single one of those games again, but best of luck.
I'll probably watch Pumas. No, I'm gonna watch Greek versus Griffins on Sunday just because I like watching team stuff in Kimberley. I think we're so stupid. I think that every single time the Boks are not playing well, we should just take New Zealand there. Imagine New Zealand trying to play. just say no,
True.
no. Unlucky.
I am missing my New Zealanders, not gonna lie.
Especially when the grass is white and the lines are
Exactly.
painted
It's
blue.
July.
It's so dry.
July. Kimberley in July. Phew!
Yeah, exactly.
You couldn't pay me enough to win there.
Had to be watered in 4 months and
Oh,
some
exactly.
blue
Right,
chalk.
gentlemen, as always, thank you very much. Carl did have to jump over, yeah, so that's why we're back down to 3. So, Chris and Reza, thank you very much for the time. Chris, thank you very much for the bets. We'll hopefully have some more bets to post on either tomorrow or Saturday morning. So keep an eye out on the community tab in the channel. Chris, as I said, I think I'll go back to the screen there. They can follow you on the Crow Tips on Twitter. Anywhere else?
No, that's it for now. That's fine, yeah.
All right, and Reza,
Find me.
and Reza, where do people find you? Are we on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'd rather not. Thanks. Yeah.
MySpace, Friendster, Mix It.
Mix it. Remember Mix It.
I have a habit.
What's a Mix It code? What's a Mix It code?
Yeah.
I have a habit of annoying people, so yeah, I'd rather you not find me. If you do, well done.
We're gonna have to get you a YouTube channel. We'll start it. We'll start the Reza by YouTube channel
Yeah.
soon.
Taken down for abusive language within the first day.
Well, at least it was a story to tell. But right, chaps, cool. Have a good one. And to everybody else, please do smash like on the video on the way out. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. And we'll see you next week, rather, for another episode of the Fan Forum. And keep well.
Hi guys, sorry about that. Hi Jake, Brendan O'Brien in Dublin. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks, Brendan.
Jake, I'm sure this is old news for you guys and it's been discussed a million times, but the concept of a Curry Cup and a URC team, same day, same coaching, I know you're involved in both. Could you just give us a brief little insight into the challenges of doing this?
Yeah, so Brendan, look, I mean, it is difficult because you're trying to prepare 2 teams to play, on the same day. It is unique. I mean, I'm probably the only guy that is doing it hands-on. But I just feel that I'd like to spend time with the next group of players to see where they are in their development. As I said to the media before, we don't really have an academy structure like you guys have in Ireland, which I think is right up there. I mean, I think your academy structure is a fantastic structure to have. So I've got to spend some time with the junior sides and with those players coming through our junior teams into the Curry Cup. And at this point in time, if I can do it for 1 or 2 years, then hopefully what I can do is get a feel for what's happening at the bottom, and maybe then try and select someone that can then be hands-on in that role in the next couple of years.
That's great. Finally, for me, Jake, just to touch on Leinster, we saw what they did last week with what is being called over here as a third-string team. How impressive is it what they're able to do, and specifically the ready-made nature of the players who are coming out of the academy and stepping up and no more than Sam Prendergast last week?
Yes. Yeah, listen, Brendan, as I said earlier to the media, I mean, it's the envy of, I think, any club team to see what they produce. We often speak about the school systems that they have in Ireland, Blackrock and Terranure and those colleges, and there's good coaching. And then they go into the academy, and then they get good coaching there. And then they go into the franchises. And then, to be fair, all 4 franchises have done really well this year. Ulster, Connacht, Munster and Leinster. I mean, that's incredible that 4 franchises are up there and thereabouts. I think the integration of what they do with international players, if you look at the signings they make at Munster and Leinster and even Connacht and Ulster, so basically the signings they make from outside the campaign, whether it's a Dwayne Vermeulen or a Marcel Coetzee or Jason Jenkins or Ergius Snyman, I think there's definitely some thought process put into how they can use the skills of outside players to upskill their own players and the weaknesses they have in their 4 regions. Again, probably that's very good work done by David Nusifora and the system. And yeah, you're right. I mean, as I said, to watch that young 10, I watched him by chance. I watched him in an under 20 game, and he was obviously outstanding. And then I wondered if he was the brother or family member of the flanker that played for Connacht, only to find out from Leo that yes, it is his brother, and they come from Leinster. And again, just shows, that system's working. I mean, I can't remember a new number 10 coming into any team and being a man of a match in a game where you 31-26 or 36-21 down, and you still end up being man of the match. Just proves again a lot of the psychology and a lot of the sort of backing that those kind of guys get through the academy must say something in terms of the way they're coming through, both on and off the field.
That's great, Jake. We're even making the comparison over here. Sam Prendergast has the same haircut as Johnny Sexton as well, which we're taking as a very good sign.
I saw that, and I don't think that's by coincidence.
Listen, best of luck at the weekend. You're a busy man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Warren?
Hi, Jake. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Just on Leinster, last week ahead of the match against the Lions, altitude was a big talking point and everything, but they still managed to get grind out to win against the Lions. Is that still going to be a factor, or are you going to try to make them breathe a little bit harder by spreading the ball around more?
Yeah, so Warren, a good question, because one thing that they are very good at every game is playing quickly. So I don't think that they're going to change their style. I don't think that the altitude factor will hit them as hard as it did last week, because there's always that scientific debate about either you come one day before or you come 10 days before, and I think they've now been here long enough to actually get used to the altitude. And someone told me last week, interesting enough, is that Ellis Park is higher than Loftus. So who knows? Maybe it helped them training at last week in Johannesburg. So yeah, I don't think they'll move away from the things that work for them. They play quickly. They got lots of tempo on their game. They don't waste time in and out of starter phases in terms of lineouts and scrums. So I can't see them trying to slow it up and changing what's worked for them, not only this year but for the last couple of years.
And just in terms of log positions, I think this weekend the name of the game is probably Champions Cup qualification, and no one really wants to finish in that 8th spot. I'm sure you guys are just focusing on the game, and maybe you're going to be glancing at that Glasgow Connacht game later in the day.
Yeah, well, look, Warren, I mean, once our game's finished, we'll know what's going to happen. I mean, the reality is then we'd like to believe that after our game, the destiny is already done in our hands. We don't have to then wait for someone else. So, it is exactly like that. I don't think it's just about Champions Cup. It's about playing as well as you can in this game to make sure that whoever you play in the next round, you get a fair chance, in terms of performance, to beat the next team you have to play.
Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. Morgan?
Thanks, Lunga. Morning, Jake. Jake, just one from me. How much confidence has your team taken from your performance last week, and also the fact knowing that you pretty much got your spot booked in the playoffs?
Yeah, Morgan, I think, to be fair, not just on last week's performance, I think the team that went to Durban and won, in Durban, that's the first time we've won a Currie Cup game in Durban since 2015. So a lot of confidence they got out of that. And then the week before, obviously, the team beat Griquas. Now, I know, again, because we haven't won, we were desperate to win. And I think with the way we played against Griquas, we kept them trialists as well. So I think it's been a collective 3-week or 3-game process of defensively getting stronger, getting some winning momentum, and then being as clinical as we were last week. Often what happens, Morgan, and you would know this, you're 36-3 up at halftime or whatever, you generally can lose your shape in the second half, and everybody can play like it's trials. And I thought the way we kept our shape and the way that we were so clinical at the back end of the game to score 78 points proved that we now understand the way we want to play. And doesn't matter. It's like cricket. I suppose you make 100, and it doesn't matter what level of cricket you play. Someone's going to catch the ball out of the air if you give catches. And I thought the way we played last week to score 11 tries, even though you're playing against a team that was probably weaker, but also had 14 men on the field. You still got to be accurate. You still got to make sure you hold on to the ball, and you still got to make sure that you create pressure. So I was very happy with, as I said, not just last week, but what's been happening the last couple of weeks.
Thanks, Jack. All the best tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks, Morgan. Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Ashwar?
Hi, Jake. See, Lunga has restricted everybody to 2 questions, so I'll try and condense it. Just yeah, you see the 11 tries and 78 points, obviously great for the conference, but Leinster, very different challenge, even though they don't have their first choice team here. What do you think you guys need to do differently tomorrow?
No, well, I just think we need to do our basics properly and play as well as we can. You know, I mean, that same team, Ashfaq, that team you're now writing up, I think they drew with the Stormers. So that just shows you how good they are. Stormers are the champions. You know, they won the competition last year, and when they played against that same side, with their stronger side, Stormers took their stronger side and played against that Leinster team. I looked on the sheet; it was almost the same Leinster team. They ended up drawing 22 all. So we're not going into this game thinking anything other than the fact that it's going to be a tough game.
Okay, then my second question is not about the Bulls, but the Springbok situation. What do you make of Jacques Nienaber leaving the Boks after the World Cup and moving to Leinster? And are you interested in getting your old Springbok job back?
Ashfaq, I spoke about it earlier. I'm sure you heard what I said, you know, and nothing's changed between my first question or my first answer and today and now, you know.
Sorry, man, we were muted, Jake, so we didn't hear.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Lunga keeps us in the dark there.
Yeah, look, Ashwag, my advice to you is don't waste your second question on that.
Because you'll send the thing.
Yeah, I'll send you a recording of that particular response. So make wise use of your second question.
Okay. I got a question for you, Ashfaq.
Yes, Jake.
I just read an article where you asked me about 1D playing fullback, wing, and center. And I spoke to him this morning, and I found it quite odd that you wrote the other day that it's wonderful to see Ruan Nel playing wing and center and Damien playing center and fullback. So I wasn't quite sure if it's a positive or a negative thing for players to play more than one position. Yeah, that was my question to you.
I guess it depends on the player, Jake.
Okay.
So
if
yeah.
you're a Bulls player, it's a bad thing, and if you're another player, it's a good thing.
Not at all. We can chat offline. But then I have a second question there, Jake. About the Currie Cup team, Charlie Ewell's making his Bulls debut. What do you expect from him?
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I can tell you he's like a young kid in a toy shop, you know, in a candy store. The guy wants to, he really wants to play. He hasn't played rugby for a long time. He knows this is an opportunity for him to show Steve Borthwick that he's ready to play in the World Cup. He knows this is the opportunity he has to use. And, you know, often you get a guy coming, you know, into a squad and he's just happy to go through the motions. He's completely different, Ashfaq. He really wants to make an impression. He really wants to add value. You know, he's happy to share whatever he has to share, whether it's, you know, whatever he's learned at England, whatever he's learned at Bath, you know, whatever he's learned as a player, he's happy to share with us. And so he's just, I mean, it's been fantastic having that kind of personality. You know, I don't know, and I'm standing in front of Brendan here thinking, I can't remember any international player from outside playing for the Bulls. So this is the first time I've experienced having a fully fledged international player playing at the Bulls, and I can tell you he's definitely added much more than just him as a player.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's guide on how to watch Bulls versus Leinster on a free-to-air broadcaster. This weekend is a very interesting weekend for South African sides because it was the last weekend of URC Group Stage Rugby, round 18, before we move into the playoffs. And still a lot to play for some of the South African sides. And Bulls got a very interesting match ahead of them because they beat Zebra, or they hammered Zebra last weekend, and they're now playing against a Leinster sort of academy side, very young side. Lots of sort of, a lot of mainstream players missing. But this Leinster side, which did beat the Lions last week and did have to come back from behind. So a very spirited performance. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Bulls go about business this weekend because of their last game ready to sort of build some form and find form going into the playoffs. Before we tell you exactly how to watch it, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Now, if you're in the UK and Ireland, you'll be able to watch this match for free on TG4, which is an Irish language free channel. But if you're outside the UK or Ireland, you'll still be able to watch it for free, but you'll have to use something called a VPN, which is a virtual private network. And that geolocates your device to make it seem as if you are in the UK or Ireland. And we recommend ExpressVPN, link down in the description. We've got a whole step-by-step guide on how to watch the game. So first things first, you're going to download ExpressVPN and install it. And you're going to click on those little 3 buttons on the right there. It'll open up all the locations. I'm currently connected to a London server. You can connect to an Ireland server or a different UK server. Now, as I said, you can watch every single match of the World Cup for free using a VPN. So get yourself a 12-month subscription, and you can get an extra 3 months for free. We do videos every single week on how you can watch rugby for free using a VPN. So because I'm connected to the UK, I'm currently watching TG4. And this is what's currently on. I've got no idea what it is. Looks very weird, but it is currently working. And this is currently the web browser. You don't have to go and log in or anything like that. It is as simple as that to use. And this is me in South Africa. As soon as you stop using a VPN, you will no longer have access to this channel. So because, as I said, because it's geolocated. So if you try and access this channel without a VPN, it'll say that this video is not available in your location, and you won't be able to watch the action. So that is where a VPN does help. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I said, check out the description. It has all the step-by-step guide that you need to do to be able to watch the game. Please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys this weekend at all the various watch-alongs. Right, and hello, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Bulls versus Leinster kick off in just under 10 minutes, and a very important game for the Bulls. They need to try and make sure that they finish higher than 8th, try and escape that potential playoff against Leinster themselves. Currently sitting on 48 points, and a win for them, a bonus point win for them, to take them up to 53 points. So a home quarterfinal out of the question for the Bulls, but at the end of the day, you want to try and move up as high as possible and try and avoid certain teams. Right as it stands, they will be playing against Ulster in the quarterfinals, so they can move up to 6th place. They would then be taking on the Stormers at the moment, which I think will be a much nicer match for them, to be honest, to go to a short trip down to Cape Town rather than a long haul flight. So, still plenty to play for the Bulls, despite the fact that they have got guaranteed playoff rugby, for example. There's still a lot at stake. And, it's a pretty good Bulls side, consistent Bulls side, the same week as side that beat hammered Zebra last weekend. For Leinster, a couple of changes, but also a pretty, settled side, but a lot of continuity in the side that did beat the Lions, and they weren't supposed to beat the Lions, but they did. It should be an interesting game. A lot of people voting in the poll. We got 121 votes, so please go and add your vote and tell us who you think is going to win this game. What do you think the result's going to be? Could it be a draw, or are we looking at a Bulls win, a Leinster win? And as we sort of get into the last couple of group stage games for the South African sides, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see just how these sides do, because at the end of the day, after the Champions Cup, a bit of disappointing Challenge Cup, I think there's a lot of eyes on the South African teams with regards to who can be relied on, and just how far we can go, and whether we can compete with some of the best teams in Europe. So that's kind of where we're sitting at the moment from a South African perspective. So it'd be nice to finish quite strongly. Maybe see if we can try and get a team finishing 3rd, 6th, 7th, also Champions Cup spots as well. So that 7th place spot, very important. Connacht versus Glasgow Warriors will have a lot to say in that match later on. So there's a lot still at stake here. This is not a what's the word I'm looking for? A foregone conclusion, and the Bulls need to go out and get the job done today, because if they don't, then they could be in a bit of trouble. Same with the Sharks, really, with regards to who they're going to be playing and where they're going to be playing in the playoffs. And I think the Bulls are a little bit sort of dark horses, because yes, they're incredibly inconsistent, but maybe that's what makes them dark horses. The fact that if they do find a way to just turn things around, then maybe they can create another upset. They did go over and beat Leinster at home last season, so they can do it. We know that they can do it. The question is, will they do it? And it's a pretty good question. But for now, we will not. We're not going to be worrying about that. We're going to be worrying about today and today's match and what's going to go on down at Loftus. Kickoff is in 5 minutes. We're going to go through the teams in just a bit. As I said, please do go and vote in the poll. Please make sure that you have gone and added your perspective on what you think is going to happen down in the game over there. And almost 150 votes as well, which is really cool. Please just smash like on the video, by the way. Just 12 likes so far. And if you're looking to watch the game, check out the description. We've got a step-by-step guide. Get yourself ExpressVPN. You can connect to an Ireland server or UK server, and you can watch all the action live on TG4. So no excuses to miss out on the game. Go and get ExpressVPN and watch it on TG4. So let's go to some of the comments. Dave Davies saying Bulls to win. Connacht won't want to beat Glasgow because they won't fancy a trip to Cape Town. They prefer to play Ulster. From a playoff perspective, 100%. But if they finish 8th, they're going to lose out in Champions Cup rugby. So they very much do want to make sure that they finish 6th or 7th. So probably for them, they ideally would like to finish 7th. 6th would mean that they would play against, they play against the Stormers. But yeah, the Champions Cup is the important thing. So they definitely will be going out to win that game. Now we've got a change here. I'm trying to work out if that's for this game or for the Currie Cup game. And Dylan Smith's Spearman. Okay, that's just for the Currie Cup game. Yeah, that's not too. Don't have to worry too much about this. I don't think any changes here. Oh no, in fact, Dylan Smith has actually dropped out. So Sapir Mantazima has come onto the bench for the URC game. So there is a bit of a late change there. And here we go. So we go through some of the teams here. I'm just busy downloading it from the official match guide and stuff like that. We're going to go through the teams in a second, and we'll look at who to watch out for and what some of the cool matchups will be for today. They're expecting 20,000 people over here at Loftus. Looks pretty packed on the one side. Well, and our game after this is World Cup game between the Bulls and the Lions. So that should be quite a lot of fun as well. And why have I gone back to there? It's not where I wanted to be. I want to go to this game. Right, so we'll start with the home side, who were completely unchanged until a late change now has seen Spear Mantazima come onto the bench. But in the front row for the Bulls, it is Keras Steenekamp, Johan Kobler, and Morne Smith. Ruan Vermaak, who I thought played very well last weekend, next to his captain, Ruan Nokia. Marco Van Star and Carl Brigg, Albert Lowe are a very capable loose trio. And Bros Pierre, Jan Christen, two former Springboks in the halfback pairing. David Creel, Kane Moody on the wings. Kurt Janssen at fullback. Your centre combination today is once again Harold Forster and Stedman Hunt. Bismarck du Plessis, Dylan Smith was supposed to be and Francois Cropper was supposed to be the bench. However, Sapir Mantazima has come in for Dylan Smith, who's picked up a late injury. Janko Swanepoel, WJ Steenkamp, Keegan Johannes, Chris Smith, and Cornel Hendricks will be the replacements there for the Bulls. For Leinster, it's Ed Byrne, Tyke McElroy, and Thomas Clarkson in the front row. Alex Soroka, Brian Deeney, James Collane, Will Connors, Max Deegan completing the pack. No Reece Raddock this weekend. Nick McCarthy will partner young fly half Sam Prendergast, who was named man of the match on his official Leinster debut, professional rugby debut last week. Dave Kearney, Domero Brown, the two wings. Ben Brown, Liam Turner in the centres. Chris Cosgrave at fullback there. Your bench this afternoon is Lee Barron, Michael Milner, Temi Aswimni, Sisi, Connor Atenai, Liam Maloney, Ben Murphy, Charlie Tector, and Rob Russell. And that is your Leinster bench there. So here we go. Leinster coming out. They'll be playing in white today, and Bulls in the traditional blue. And almost time to open a beer, I tell you. I think, which should be quite fun, quite exciting. You know, to start opening a beer. I said 4 o'clock was going to be the time, so we're not far away from that, which is good to see. Good to see. And here we go. We're not here about to lead out the Bulls. Right. So again, a couple of goals I'd like to do from a personal perspective. I'd like to be at 24,400 and maybe even 50 by the end of the game, as we try and get to that 24,500 mark. I'd also like you guys to keep smashing the like button so that we can get up to about 50 likes by the end of the game. So feel free to start jumping in there as well. and try and get us there. So we're sitting on 14 likes, which is pretty poor. So basically, if everybody were to smash like, and just click that like button, which costs you absolutely nothing, it means a lot to us. We can get up to 80 likes. I don't think it's going to happen because a lot of you people, you lurkers, will not do that for us, which is fine. It's okay. We'll allow it. But if the rest of you guys could hit the like button, that just helps get more people into the stream. And the more people into the stream, the more chat flows, the more fun we have. Craig Evans, the referee today, he'll be assisted by AJ Jacobs and Amy Barrett Turan. Tony Troy going Bulls by 20. Get your score predictions in now, shortly before kickoff, so that you can't start changing them as the game starts to go. You know, we want to have your predictions in nice and early. And then we can start revisiting them towards the end and see who was close and who was very off the mark. But Stefan Hans, I'd like to see a big game out of him today. Jan Krobelo had a very impressive performance, and I think he'll look to try and build on that. And I think Jan Koersen, somebody as well, who's under a bit of pressure maybe a little bit to perform today. You know, he's someone who I think they really hope will come good and try and be a bit of an ace up their sleeve during the playoffs. But it is a good restart taken by Ulrich Lowe. Leinster getting things underway. They'll be playing right to left in the white and Bulls in the blue, left to right, receiving kickoff. Ambrose Pierre pulling things back. He'll look for those first box kick of the day, try and find a bit of good distance, and not looking to find touch. Canan Moody's afterwards. As is Ruan Nokia. Ruan Nokia takes it absolutely brilliantly. Pops it up to Johan Krobelo. What a kick that was from Ambrose Pierre. For me, that's why he's in the starting lineup. His game management is absolutely superb. A distribution not too shabby either. Mornay Smith now carrying up. I'll tell you what, if you get to a scrum across for whatever reason, I think Ambrose Pierre could still do a job on the international stage. Been very impressed with him of late. Now going to Ruan for Mark. Nice carry from him, trying to get over that halfway line. Good continuity just from the Bulls early on. Back to Harold Forster, first receiver, who goes to Gerard Steenekamp. Man of the match performance for him last weekend. Best I've ever seen him with ball in hand. Now Creel. Good Leinster defense here as the Bulls are driven back to inside their own half. Pierre now going to Ruan Nokia, popping up to Carl Brink. Nice and physical so far from Leinster. Nice spinning out the tackle. There goes Kurt Janssen. Now Canan Moody managed to find a couple of yards right up towards the halfway line. 7 phases so far for the Bulls. Carl Brink going to Gerson, and it's a very well taken from Forster as Ruan Mark out the way. Forster, not the best footwork, has lost quite a few meters there. Bulls going backwards here. Wouldn't surprise me if we do see them go to the butcher. And Gerson goes short to Nokia, and the ball pops up and will go forward. But there's a penalty advantage, and I think it's for offside. Yeah, from Craig Evans. So the penalty for the Bulls. A nice early start there. Good couple of phases. Good continuity as well. So Jake White will be very chuffed with what he's seen from there. I'm going to fetch myself a beer. Which didn't take me very long, to be honest. And I'll show you what beer it is, except I expected to, with the green screen, to probably disappear. So, I don't know, you can see. I'm going to cost a light check. I'm all about, which it's basically because it's the cheapest quart in the store. You know, a lot of people are going to sit there saying, that's not a real beer. Real beer can be expensive. It's the end of the month. It's not payday yet. So I'm on the lights. I was actually trying to find Lion Lagers out there because they're even cheaper, but I couldn't. So tough times, boys. Tough times are lasting. So we're on to the Castle Lights. And Castle Light and the Black Label glass. What can you do? What can you do? You know, at the end of the day, you gotta just, you know, adapt. Improvise, adapt, overcome. And that's what we are doing here. So, your bottle opener. It's going to be a scrum, by the way. Bulls kind of stuffing that penalty up. So it'll be a scrum back in the halfway line. And nice still there. Now I need to do it like the most pressurizing scenario ever. The Bulls with a scrum. And right now I think I'm the more nervous one. About to pour a bit of a on stream, which gets me panicking a little bit. Going straight down. Penalty for the Bulls. So I'm actually going to see like, I'm going to do all screen here. Try and get a decent pour. It's all about the pour, isn't it? All about the pour. And back in the varsity days, we used to pour quarts every third day. So the pouring skills were pretty good. These days, don't pour that many quarts. But I tell you what, there are certain things you just don't forget how to do. And pouring a beer appears to be one of it. Have you seen a better poured beer than that? That is absolutely superb. So is the scrum, by the way. Credit to the Bulls. Congratulations. But the real winner, the real impressive thing we've just seen was that pour. So, you're welcome. You might not be able to see phenomenal rugby today. I cannot guarantee it. But if you start seeing pouring like that, as well as the carry for that from Harold Forster, then we're in for a good day. Now, Albert Lowe getting into the 22. This is really good job from the Bulls. Brosa Pierre going short to Jan Kovalov. Maybe a try will be the reason I get my first sip of the beer. Brosa Pierre, see a bit of space on the side, but it's intercepted. Now Chris Cosgrave's on the counter attack, and he's going and tosses the ball back inside. But Kurt Jarenson is there. He's intercepted it back. Now Mornay Smith going short. So yeah, Bulls losing a lot of momentum there. It's a decent lineup from them. And now penalty advantage. Chaos Steenkamp going the pretty direct route there, wrapped up in the tackle. Now Curtly Arlenson looking to cook. High tackle on him. Should be another penalty advantage. Going short to Johan Kobalov. The marauding red scrum cap gets over the 22. Embrace Pierre. Quick ball to Jan Koersen. Koersen going to Marco van Staden. Eskom looking to turn the lights off. Koersen back to Stefan Kans. Stefan Kans to a bit of space. Stefan Kans getting through the tackle as well. Kanan Moody there to back him up. Ulrich Lowe probably needs to take that ball out. Does take that ball out. Embrace Pierre on the pass. Now Marco van Staden once again. Bounces off one. Eventually brought down just inside 22. Still with penalty advantage here are the Bulls. Ruin for Mark. Going short. Burst Pierre to Jan Koersen. Inside ball to Kanan Moody, but it was well read in the end. Still a penalty advantage here. Wouldn't be surprised if they do go quite soon. Jan Koersen, however, he's got a couple of... Jan Koersen sliced straight through. He's eventually brought down and lost the ball forward. So he will go back for the penalty advantage. Very, very promising signs here for the Bulls. And who are trying to find their early points here. Let's have a comment, shall we? And Brendan saying, how do I stream it? I missed your comment. Yeah, so I've just jumped it there. MC saying, would Leinster win help the Sharks if Glasgow beat Connacht and Sharks beat Munster, scoring 4 tries and getting the win? So it's possible Sharks finish 7th to qualify for Champions Cup. It is very possible that they can finish 7th. The big thing is that they need Glasgow to beat Connacht. If Glasgow beat Connacht and Connacht only get 2, for example, 1 bonus point, they can go up to 50 points. If Sharks get 5 points later, they can go up to 51 points. So from a win perspective, the Sharks would move level with Connacht, so then points difference would come into it. The Connacht do have quite a superior points difference, however. For the Bulls, similar sort of situation, but their points difference is much, much better. So the first thing they look at is obviously points, then it's the number of wins in the competition, then they go to points difference. Donnie saying Bulls by 20, Munster by 5. Vic saying, come on, Leinster, you better play your hearts out. They are going to take the points here, are the Bulls. Linda also saying, let's go Bulls. Brendan said, I tried TG4 with my NordVPN, doesn't work. I haven't tested it with Nord. It does work with Express. That's what I was doing earlier this week with the video. So, yeah, I don't know if it is working with Nord. I haven't tried it. But, yeah, sometimes you just try a different browser and just try and refresh a couple of times. It often just takes a while for it to get working. So maybe try and give that a go. I'm going to have a sip of the beer. Oh, that tastes like Saturday. Jan Koersen straight through the middle. Good kick from him. The weekend has started. I mean, I did have a couple of drinks last night, but it wasn't anything too hectic. Also played golf yesterday afternoon, so it's not been a bad weekend. But the first sip on a Saturday, that's the one that you really look forward to, isn't it? Saturday evening beers with the boys. And speaking of the boys, Bulls have gone 3 points to 0 up after 7 minutes. Sam Prendergast going down that left-hand side. Once again, this should be down to Ulrich Lowe, and it is. And he exits the 22 pretty well. Another big carry from the number 8. Callers to use it from Ambrose Papier. He's got Kera Steenkamp short. Now Ambrose Papier looking for the boss kick here. Kanan Moody after this. Kanan Moody looking to try and put a bit of pressure on McCarthy. Very good tackle from him. And penalty here for the Bulls. And it's for blocking against Kanan Moody. So Leinster discipline costing them early. And need a good touch finally here from Johan Koersen. As I said, very important for the Bulls that Johan Koersen plays well today, because I think that he is the bit of a wild card that they've got. And that's nothing against Chris Smith, but I suppose, and I must admit, I wouldn't say I'm not a Johan Koersen fan. I think that he's too injury prone to ever really rely on. But when he's playing his best rugby, there's no denying that he's an X-factor type player. He's a player that can create and a player that can be a difference and can win you games. So you know, if they're going to go over and beat a big side, you kind of need to see a Johan Cruyff sort of masterclass type performance. And that's what they'll be hoping to try and get him into form so that he can do that in the next couple of weeks. But that is still to come. For now, Johan Kloppelop goes to Rowan Nokia. And they're going to go to Chris Smith. Good strong carry there coming from Harold Forster and Brosa Pierre. Going to Nokia, going to Albert Lowe. Very good carrying this from the Bulls. And a penalty. That is absolutely brilliantly won on the ground. I'm trying to see who it is. But it's a brilliant... It was two very good carries. And it's a fantastic turnover coming there. I think it's the wing of all people. I think that's Tommy O'Brien that's turned that over. I mean, it's Ruan Nokia, and I think Ruan for Mark trying to move him, and he gets himself into such a good position. That's pretty impressive. So Leicester with the penalty there. Getting up to the 10-meter line. Deegan goes up, but Ruan Nokia gets in front of him and does win the ball back. And Brosa Pierre, very well taken by Kero Stelicap. Wasn't the best pass, but then he knocks it on. So a couple of sloppy areas now creeping into the Bulls game. Vic said Leicester youngsters don't look like they're up for it. Well, that might be a bit of a motivator. Wasn't the best pass there from Ambrose with Pierre. He knew it as well, and Carl Brink just couldn't hold on to it, and then he did actually hold on to it, and then try to offload it on the ground, and then it was knocked on. So if it held on to it, maybe it actually would have been all right. And I think we actually have gotten a couple of subscribers. Everything's just taking a bit of a while to update you. No, apparently we're sitting on 0. It's not going well, is it? Right, so let's try and get our live tracker for the number of subscribers working. So we can try and monitor whether we can get over that 30 mark, which I want to. Right, so there we go. We have found a couple of subscribers, as you can see there. Good. Loving your work, chaps and ladies. Hopefully there are a couple of ladies in the chat and watch. A free kick there. Oh, Mornay Smith having some words. Oh, there we go. Two props slugging it out. Just leave them be. Let's have Ed Bird and Mornay Smith throwing a couple of punches, seeing who can outlast each other. A couple of props swinging around there. They'll sink a few brandies after the game. I'm going to sink another sip of beer in the meantime. Going down like the sweet nectar of the gods. Yeah, Craig Evans getting involved. You know what he has to do. Inside, he just wants to let them have it, but can't do it. Can't do it. 23 likes, which is pretty poor. People keep liking the video. Please do. As I say, I want to try and get as many people as possible into the stream here. Paul Duplessis saying Bulls go to first gear. Yeah, I need to just try and settle into this game and get back to what they were doing very well in the early stages. It's not that it's not still the early stages, but quite a busy start to the game. Quite a high tempo so far, which is quite enjoyable. Bulls with 91% possession, just to 3 points on the board so far. That's a very good looking scrum as well. Albert Lowe does use it. Well, it's a big carry as well. McCarthy brought him down, but going down in the process. Nice tackle that from Sam Prendergast. Now, closer to Stefan Klein. Popping out to Kurt Lawrence. Out the back door to Kenny Moody. Kenny Moody chips and chases. We saw him do it last week. Isn't it? And it's going to be brought down. It's very good covering that from Tommy O'Brien. It's a huge in-goal area that Loftus has prepared. So it will be a goal line dropout. We saw Kenny Moody running after a chip and chase last week. And yeah, it's fantastic covering from Tommy O'Brien. He gets across there and just manages to dab it down just in time before going over the in-goal line. So Sam Prendergast, ball in hand, will be charged with the goal line dropout duties. Going down that far on that right-hand side and scrambling a little bit, but taking it well is Carl Brink. Brosa Pierre. Wilson darts it out to Harold Forster, going to Kurtley Arnser. Kurtley Arnser trying to find a bit of gap. Deegan went quite high, making the initial hit. Pick up and go coming from Alred Low. Just inside the 10-meter line. Now Mornay Smith, the first receiver. Jan Koersen going to Harold Forster. Harold Forster trying to find a bit of space. Popping up to Kane Mooney. He's burst straight through. Kane Mooney needs the support. Into the 22 he goes. Places it well. Lots of good support there from him. Brosipia, quick ball up towards David Creel. And he's fired that not forward. To Markham start. And look pretty forward from our angle. Now Harold Forster. Up towards the 5-meter line. Quick ball needed. Quick ball is there. Carl Brink comes back on the angle. Solid carry from him. Within 5 meters now. Boris Pierre up to his captain. Ruan Nokia makes a meter or two. Very good continuity. Ruan for Mark. Penalty advantage here as well. They're just short to the Bulls. Ruan Nokia, is he over? He is over. The captain, Ruan Nokia, after 8 phases. And they are eventually over in the 40-minute R of the Bulls. Very, very good work. That fantastic initial break from Kenny Moody. Did very well to present the ball as well whilst he went down. Keep that ball alive and keep the pace of play up. And then some nice couple of carries here. Very good carry from Ruan for Mark. And then Ruan Nokia is asking for it. He backs himself. Puts his head down. Goes straight through Sam Prendergast and Ty McElroy. Just gets his head down and bang, over he goes. Good start. Eric saying Bulls win 40 minutes. Then Leinster win 40 minutes. It'll be so close. Yeah, fair enough. Saying the Bulls are gonna have the upper edge in the first half and maybe a little bit of Leinster comeback. What location should my VPN? So you want to be in Ireland or the UK? Both should work. In theory, TG4 is an Irish language channel, and so Ireland is, probably the more sensible one. But it does work on the UK server as well. When I did my how to watch video earlier in the week, that is the one that I did use. Very nice carry there from Murnock. Good try. And the celebrations come. The man's on the clip drift and coke over there. You'd love to see it. Love to see it. Good take from Ruan for Mark as well. Right, Bulls 10 points to 0. Good start from their home side. They've had all the possession. Leinster at the moment just doing all the defending. Haven't had any chance really with ball in hand. Now Ambrose Pierre this time hammering it ahead. No one's going to be there to chase it. Good take there from Chris Crossgrave. A great kick. That's a 50-22, by the way. That could be an absolutely brilliant kick from Chris Cosgrave. Trying to work out where he was in the beginning. I think he's just inside. Yeah, he is just inside the Bulls' half. It was almost a brilliant 20-22. In fact, he probably should have kicked it a couple of seconds earlier, and because Curly Answer was well caught out there. Very good kick from the fullback. Ball over the top of Jan Krabbelot goes to Carl Brink. Bit of a risky option, but paid off. I don't think Leinster were fully prepared for that. And Pierre can now go to Jan Koersen. He's got a decent angle to find a clearance. Doesn't look like it's going to find touch, though. Right up against the touch line. Really well taken by, I think it's O'Brien. Goes inside to Cosgrave. He puts his head down. Nice solid carry. This is the first opportunity Leinster really had with ball in hand inside Bulls territory. Deegan getting the ball away. Good carry. They're coming there as well from Will Connors. Quick ball from McCarthy. Now Prendergast. Cosgrave. Bit of a loose pass. And the big man, Sirocco, has to go and clean up. And he's driven out. No, he's driven. He stays inside. Nice little step in there by Tommy O'Brien. Gerard Steenkamp, the one that brings him down. Now big carry from Ed Byrne. Prendergast. Short this one to Thomas Clarkson. The big tight head. Nice big leg drive from him. Getting past the 10-meter line. McCarthy. Prendergast looking for that. Oh, it's come off by Kane and Moody. Back to Kirkley Aronson. Stefan Khan's quick ball to Ruan Nokia to Johan Koersen. Sees a bit of space. Oh, nobody at home. He's looking for that 50-22. Is it going to roll? Is it going to bounce? Is it going to bounce? No, Tommy O'Brien has gotten there in time. It was a nice idea from Johan Koersen. And not the best clearance. I actually don't know if that took a touch off Creel. But it's a brilliant result for the Bulls. Good kick there from Johan Koersen. Time off. Right, so possession so far, 84%, territory 85% for the Bulls. So you talk about dominance. You see very few games where that's the case after almost 20 minutes. Very good first sort of quarter this for the Bulls. They'll be very happy with life at the moment. Right, I'm going to end the poll there. And 241 people have voted. We're asking who will win this match. And that's an early replacement here for the Bulls, by the way. Carl Briggs going to go for an HIA. So it looks like WJ Steenkamp will come to the park early on. He had a bit of a run out. He's also, by the way, playing in the Currie Cup game, which is happening immediately after this. Interesting to see that sort of thing happening. Right, so 67% people saying that the Bulls will win, 29% saying Leinster will win, just a 2% backing the draw. It's a blood replacement, apparently. Now, I need another poll, people. What sort of things can we debate here? Last night, we put a poll about the best Springbok scrum off. You know, let's think of a poll. Out towards Caden Moody. Caden Moody looking to go around the outside. Caden Moody, ball back inside. It's gone straight into the hands of Liam Turner, but I think I had his foot in touch anyway. But I tell you what, Bulls are finding a bit of space out here. Looking to put the afterburners on. It's a great tackle. It's a great tackle, forcing that leg out. Caden Moody, however, is looking very dangerous. Any suggestions for a poll? I'm gonna do one. Does Caden Moody go to the World Cup? Moody go to the World Cup. Ooh, not straight. Not straight. That's a big mistake. Does Caden Moody go to the World Cup? That's the poll I'm going to ask. I'm going to throw it in the chat out there. You guys can go and vote and let me know what you think, and we'll discuss that as the game goes. We had a medic still on the field, John. So that's a big miss coming from Ty McElroy. He is full of blood, and we're going to have a scrum here. Very big opportunities on the right-hand side. About 20 meters inside, so an opportunity for the Bulls to use that left-hand side, try and cook something up. So the nice thing is it opens up the blind side quite nicely, as well as having the open side, a lot of open side. So both options very much on the cards. If I'm behind person, I'll be staying directly by, or in fact, I'll be having Coatley answer directly behind the scrum, try and cause a bit of doubt. Looks like a pretty good scrum that from the Bulls. We are going to have a reset. A bit messy in the end there, but a decent dominance coming from the home side. Almost at the 20-minute mark. So yeah, the poll at the moment is, does Caden Moody go to the World Cup? What do we think? Does he go? Does he not go? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And the tracker is now working, so we're going to move to that as well. It's going to show you exactly what's happening where. Right, reset scrum here. Ambrose Pierre will be looking at where the gaps will be opening up. As I said, if I'm Bulls, I'll be having Kurt Lawrence right behind the scrum on the right sort of shoulder, and Jan Koersten on the left-hand side. Plenty of options here where they're going to go. It's a big scrum, but a penalty for Leinster. And that's for walking around the scrum. So it's a pretty dominant scrum from the Bulls. Leinster get the penalty. They celebrate. The Bulls will be a bit annoyed about that. They definitely had the dominance, but walking around is the call from Chris Evans. So a big chance goes begging for the Bulls. And Sam Prendergast now will kick them out of trouble. Steenkamp, yeah, they're just shifting towards the left and then walking around. Yeah, fair enough. I think it's a good call actually at the end from Craig Evans. Going to just top the beer up a bit. Big ball from Leinster, and they do keep it. So I think it's supposed to Leinster at the moment. I think it's supposed to just keep the ball in hand a little bit. And, they weathered an early storm. They could see at 10 points. Now it's an opportunity for them to keep ball in hand, try and go through a couple of phases. Max Deegan carrying up that time. Now they're going back to Prendergast. I think that was actually Ed Byrne with the pass. Good take there from Kurt Arlenser. Right, Markham and Staden out towards the halfway line. Balls back with possession. Bruce Pierre going to Jan Koersten. Jan Koersten out to Ulrich Low. Long pass out towards Creel. Creel dabs it back inside for Kane and Moody. McCarthy with a bit of a fumble, then takes on the second attempt. Albert Lowe trying to get over that ball, but Leinster have done very well. A couple of players getting back to seal this ball off. Now Max Deegan presenting the ball well. McCarthy managing to get himself up from the bottom of the ruck, looking for the box kick here, I think. Goes back to Prendergast. He's bringing out that old-fashioned torpedo. It's a huge kick. He's got a very big boot to Sam Prendergast. Johan Clausen all the way back. Where's he going to go? Looking for the boot. Going on the right-hand side. Long pass from McCarthy back to Prendergast. Once again, looking for that torpedo. Leinster fumbles it backwards. Still got plenty of time though. Exit 22. Right, this is where Cody Leinster can be so lethal. Looking to run it. And run straight into a couple of Leinster forwards. Well, that ball's gone to nobody. And Ruan O'Keefe is the man that has to clean up. Now Albert Lowe. Pretty unstructured at the moment from the Bulls. Penalty advantage here as well. And the penalty does come. And quickly taken here from Ambrosia Pierre, who's straight through. Puts in the grubber. He's been blocked. But legally so is the call. Jan Clausen is chasing. Very, very good tidying up there from Ty McElroy. I tell you what, that's a brilliant effort from the hooker to get back and to get away from a couple of players. Ball goes back to Prendergast, who really likes that torpedo. And it's bounced just before, and it'll go out just by the 10-meter line. Well, the Bulls players were pretty determined that they were that Rosa Pierre was blocked, as well as Jan Clausen potentially. And then Johan Clausen thought he was blocked as well. I don't think so. I think it's a bit. I think they know what they're doing. I think there's a slight block, but nothing. I think that intentional, not worthy of penalty or anything like that. So, but the Bulls just need to settle into this game. Stop complaining. You're into the game here. You're dominating the game. Find some points here. Jan Kovalar goes to the front of the lineup. Good take from Mark. Goes straight down. Flat ball to Johan Clausen. He goes very flat to Harold Forster. Solid carry from him. Brosa Pierre. Quick ball now to Albert Lowe. Will Connors making the tackle. Jan Kovalar. Tackled by his opposite number. Managed to pop the ball back up to Brosa Pierre. Goes to Albert Lowe. Big tackle coming on a run for Mark. Ruan O'Keefe pick up and go. The left shoulder. Now Brosa Pierre looking to go down the left-hand side. Jan Kovalar popping it up to WJ Steenkamp. His first carry of the day right against the touchline. Ball available. Just outside 22. Moving towards the right-hand side now. For Mark, another solid carry from him. They want to go down the short side. They pop it to Curly Arnson. To Creel down the short side. Creel goes back to Curly Arnson. Curly Arnson's going to go over. Well done. Well, I think it's been Brosa Pierre who identified the space. Could have been a call as well from Curtly Arnson. Even the Lions fans standing up in the crowd and applauding the effort. A very good try in the end. Curtly Arnson, well, it was a good little interplay. It was a 2-on-1 situation. Inside to Creel to get past. Back inside to Curtly Arnson. And it's just hands. Back inside, and it's just so easy. You're never going to catch Curtly Arnson from there. Really good awareness from Arnson, Creel, and Brosa Pierre. And it's his 13th try in just the second season in the URC for Curtly Arnson. Be a very straightforward conversion attempt as well for Jan Clausen. So, yeah, this is kind of what I wanted the Lions to be doing last week. You know, you got to respect that it's Leinster. You got to understand that it's yes, it's a rotated side, but it is Leinster. But you've also got to say to yourself, well, this is not the best Leinster side. And if we can't put away a weakened Leinster side, we're not going to be able to put away a full-strength Leinster side. So you got to show them respect, and then you got to punish them. You got to show them respect, and then you got to really nail them, and just sort of make them understand who you're playing against, and that this is your home ground, this is Loftus, and you don't just send a B team down here and expect to get a result. It will be tough, and if you're not on it, we will punish you. And that's so far what the Bulls are doing. That's 17 points to 0. So far, very good start from the Bulls. Scored 2 tries as well. That bonus point try will be quite important to them. They're already halfway there. So if they get the bonus point try, bonus point win will put them at 53 points, which would be tied with Munster. It'll be ahead of Connacht with both those teams still to play after this. Munster already immediately after this, Connacht a bit later. And Kyle brings on back on the park, by the way. Underneath that, WJ Steenkamp will return to the Pine. And now Jan Clausen eventually clearing down the right-hand side. It's a big kick, and Sam Prendergast, quite a lanky little fellow, isn't he? He loves that torpedo, loves that sort of shape. When it's hammered down the right-hand side, Johan Krobler allows it to bounce straight up into the sun. And this is actually going to roll out, and I don't think he's got a touch either. So I think this will be a Bulls line-out. And a penalty for offside against Leinster. Players not getting back. So it's a pretty poor mistake coming from Leinster. It's a penalty on the halfway line. And I've no doubt Johan Cruyff's going to hammer this down that left touch line, set up a line out, and go again with the Bulls. Just got to keep that constant pressure, foot on the throat type thing, and be relentless. Don't allow any opportunity for them to come back. It's interesting to see somebody who favors the torpedo so much. Good take, and the Bulls looking for the rolling more here. Jan Krobler controlling things at the back. And they've come through the middle there, I think, of Leicester. I think this actually could be really put. The ball has come loose there. And this is going to be turnover ball. I was about to say, it looked a little bit pedestrian almost. Jan Krobler kind of found himself right in the front. Didn't really know what to do. Was kind of holding on to Kirstenkamp, but had a player with his arm around him. And eventually the ball goes down. He does lose it as it does go down, losing it forward. So it'll be a scrum for Leinster. Minutes left in the first half, and right now it's been one-way traffic. I'd love to look at a couple of the stats. In fact, we can actually look at the stats. We're going to move to the stats screen very briefly to have a look at what's going on. 73% their stats possession for the Bulls. They haven't lost the line off. 75% scrum success rate, 0% scrum success rate for Leinster. And look at some of the penalties conceded. 2 from the Bulls, 6 from Leinster. So the discipline letting them down so far. But all the points coming the way of the men in blue. So a big shout out to Bet Radar, where we get all our stats from, and a big shout out to Bet Kozler, who are powering the stream. And again, we had another bet win this weekend, which is good to see. So our local betting expert, penalty there from Leinster. Our betting expert Chris has given us 2 bets for the weekend. The one did miss, but the one did hit, so we covered our margins, and we're still up, which is good to see. If you would like to jump on that train, then make sure you go and get yourself a Bet Kozler account. Link in the description. And then you can jump on with it and follow the bet. I'm up quite a lot, actually. I started with a young 50 Rand. We're up to over 100. So we've doubled our money already in the last 3 weeks. And so very cool tips coming from Chris there. So get yourself a Bet Kozler account and come get on the action. Prendergast going short and solid carry there coming in the center channel there. I think it was Liam Turner eventually who brought it in. The answer is no, you can't change the language on TG4. That is unfortunately the problem with watching on it. It is an Irish language channel. And good pass out there from McCarthy. Leinster on the front foot. Big opportunity for them as the half an hour mark goes by. Prendergast short. Connors didn't really expect that and driven back slightly. A bit of momentum stopping there for Leinster. Now Prendergast going pretty short. The air to the throne of Johnny Sexton, apparently Sam Prendergast, the young twin. He's got quite that little hip sort of thing whenever he gets it. He's very lanky. He almost looks a bit awkward when he plays. But looks like a real good talent. Not the best pass to Shiraka, but well taken by the big lock. And this is now 8 phases for Leinster, the most of the game so far. Tyg McElroy taking it in. Deegan going short, picked up by Prendergast, who's lost it forward. But a penalty for a knockdown, I think it is, by Ruan Nokia, who does apologise to his teammates. Deliberate knockdown is the call. So really good pass to play for Leinster. They'll look towards the right-hand side, I'm sure, going towards that corner, try to set up a line out and try and hit back. Yeah, we're not here, just hitting the ball down They're conceding that penalty. So now the Bulls will have to defend. Just inside the 22 here are Leinster. It's a full line out. And in fact, it's such a full line out that Dave Carney has even come in and joined into things. So I'm trying to work out which forward they left out there. Really solid carry there from Brent Brown. A nice flat ball getting him over the advantage line. Now McCarthy. Oh, it's been intercepted by Ulrich Lowe, who's not going to have the pace, but he needs to. Oh, he has Mariam out of the pace. He's slowing down. Oh, no, he's got to the grabber. Why would you do that? Ambrose Pierre is tearing after it. Forward. Oh, he's lost it forward, though. Backwards to the core. And Ulrich Lowe is now trying to rip the ball out. And he has won it back. Shouldn't have kicked it. He had so many options. Kane Moody now. Grab it in behind. Kurt Lawrence is over. Kurt Lawrence with the second. All credit to Ulrich Lowe. Not the best kick. It's probably another example why forwards shouldn't kick. We saw it again in the Lions game earlier, but it's all worked out. Really good work rate from the number 8 who got back to the ruck, who won the ball back at the breakdown. Little chipping behind for Kenny Moody. A try assist for him and Kurt Lawrence. The two Springboks cooking for the Bulls. See, for me, just wait. Hold another 2 seconds. You could have offloaded to David Creel. You had Ambrose Pierre coming as well. If you'd given it to David Creel actually might have even been able to give it back to him. So I don't think the kick was the right option, but he does very well to get across. He rips the ball. The Leinster defense is very, very flat. Kane Moody sees the space, chips it in behind. Stedman Gans and Kurt Lawrence. You got a feel for poor James Cullen, who was up against 2 very quick backline players. Was never really going to stand a chance there. Kurt Lawrence with the brace, with the first half brace, and that is almost game, set, and match. One more try, and they will have the bonus point. 24 points to 0. And it's a knock on there from Leicester trying to win the ball back from the kickoff, almost successfully, to be fair to them. And Kurt Janssen knows the way. Yeah, he does. The man knows the way around the try line. I'll give you that much. Tell you that much for free. Kurt Janssen knows where the try line is, and he's going to score many a try in his already pretty impressive career. Right, now option for the Bulls. Will they look to run out on their own 22 and be brave, or they'll be a bit more conservative? Big scrum, big scrum, and they're going for a walk. Penalty advantage as well. Ambrose Pierre, and I think they'll definitely. Well, he's got it in behind, and they'll take the penalty. Really big scrum coming from there from Leinster. And that's ominous signs, or coming from Bulls rather, and for Leinster, because if that's going to be it's going to be one-way traffic like that, then they're going to struggle for the rest of the game. Well, that's been brilliantly kept in play. So not fine touch of the Bulls. Oh, I'll tell you what, it's a pretty impressive little contribution there from Chris Cosgrave, who does very well to keep the ball in touch. And he's hammered the ball back. So instead of being inside the 22, they're going to be just past the 10-meter line. But there's 4 minutes to go. Bulls looking to try and wrap up the bonus point before half-time. They go short there, Van Staden. Good carry. Now Corson to Cody Moody, a bit of a standing start. Just sort of the 22. Not too much structure to the Bulls' attack at the moment. Broseph Pierre back to Jan Corson. Jan Corson to Harold Forster. Harold Forster short to Carl Brink. Penalty advantage as well. Broseph Pierre to Kurt Steenekamp. Inside ball there, big call coming from Creel and Broseph Pierre aware to it. Penalty advantage here, Jan Corson inside ball to Kurt Jarens. Kurt Jarens getting past one and getting off the way to Ruan Nokia and getting off the way to Creel. And the ball coming loose. They'll go back for the penalty. Some really impressive offloading there from the Bulls. This is the Bulls we haven't seen the entire season. Yes, it was against a bad Zebra side. Yes, it's against a weakened Leinster side. But the confidence with which the Bulls are playing is very impressive. And I think this is why I think they could potentially be playing off underdogs or sort of dark horses rather. The fact that when they turn it up, they're a really good side and they can play some very good rugby. But they just haven't done it often enough. Okay, they're going to have a word here, Leinster, who are committing far too many penalties, so getting a bit of a warning here. Could be risking a yellow card if the discipline doesn't improve. Plenty, sorry for all the questions. I can't watch anymore due to restrictions. The program is not available in your region. Yeah, maybe just try to turn your VPN on and off again, or maybe try a different browser. Yeah, sometimes it does get sketchy. Again, I think you said you were watching NordVPN. I haven't tried it with NordVPN when I was trying it, or if you're using it with Express. Weird, because if you're using it with Express, I had no issues the entire week. In fact, what did I watch earlier this week? I watched one of the games there. If it still consists to give you a problem, maybe try restart your PC at half time. There can sometimes be browser issues though, or clear your cache and stuff like that. But yeah, it does work. I mean, as you were watching earlier, hopefully. So sorry to hear things are not working there. Now looking to see a potential cynical player. Not cynical player, I think it's a pretty intelligent player actually. And so a penalty for the Bulls with just under 2.5 minutes to go. Barry Green says, not every day you see this from Leinster. Yeah, not quite the same performance we've seen this week as last week. And I think the Bulls have done well and have done what the Lions didn't do. When they've had the momentum, they've used it, they've capitalized, and they really put them away nice and early. I mean, to come back now for Leinster would be a 24-point comeback. And I don't think you're going to see that. So it's a really, really intelligent, not intelligent, it's just really good discipline from the Bulls to go and assert so much pressure early on. Peter Mason saying, hi Stephen, talking of the World Cup, do you think Faf Clerk is the first choice scrum off? If not, who would you play? I do. I would start Faf tomorrow until it proves me otherwise. I think his defense is so important to the game. And at this stage, I think, we saw that performance for a couple of performances last year. I think Jaden Hendrickson has given himself a really good account. And I think that if he's fit, I think he could very well find himself in that final 23. I think Kobus Reinach would have been second choice, but I think that he, not playing last year probably damaged his chances a little bit. To what extent, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see this year where they do try and give him some more opportunities now that he is fit, and whether they choose, whether he got an opportunity to really sort of try and show that he's still a big candidate. But yeah, I think right now it's Faf de Klerk as your first choice, and probably Jaden Hendrickson right now as it stands as your second choice. Bonus point try now for the Bulls. 30 seconds to go, looking for the rolling ball towards the 5-meter line. Well taken. Jan Krobler searching for that ball before he wants to get his shoulders involved and try and maul it over. It's once of the call, and Bruce Pierre is waiting for it. Now they're getting a couple of meters. And Johan Krobler's being dragged along. So Bruce Pierre takes it himself, comes a little bit short. Needs to be recycled. Johan Krobler picks up and goes himself. And he scored. He scored. They found grounding. Well, there it is. That's the bonus point try. And you don't want to say it's the game, but that will be a massive comeback now for the Leinster Bulls. 4 tries. Fantastic half from them. 29 points. Jan Krobler, the man that goes over there. Really good maul and a good awareness from Bruce Pierre and Jan Krobler. Well played from the both of them. As the hooter does go, Johan Krobler will have an opportunity to make this a 31 points to 0 half. And this has been close to the best I've seen the Bulls play this season in terms of a ruthlessness that we've been waiting to see from them. Yes, as I said, again, a lot of people will sit there and brush it aside and say it's not a full-strength Leinster. You still got to go out and play what's in front of you at the end of the day. And they've gone out and they've hammered what's in front of them. So credit to them. They are looking a lot better than what we've seen in recent months from the Bulls. Jan Goosen is going to hammer it over. And that'll be half-time. 31 points to 0 at half-time. And we're going to move into a bit of a break. And during the break, we're gonna go to the fan forum, which some of you guys might have watched over the during the week. It was quite an interesting chat. We talked a lot about the potential about the potential block coach, for example, and stuff like that. So yeah, it was quite a fun fan forum to do. So we're going to move to that, and I'll see you guys just after, just as the next half does begin. So please do smash like in the meantime. Please do subscribe to the channel as well, and let me know, what you guys thought of the half, and where you guys see this game being won and lost in the second half, and how many points can the Bulls score? Maybe a good way to start, or a good place to start. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Right, and we are live. Hello everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. It is a Thursday evening, which means, you know what it means, it's the Rugby Fan Forum. And as always, I am joined by a very, trying to describe the panel here, enthusiastic, controversial, passionate, at times a little bit suspect in some of the chat that we've seen in the group. But moving along here, I'm joined by Chris, Reza, and Cal. Moving my left to right. I think it is your left to right as well. It is your left to right. So, gentlemen, are we all well?
Can't complain, Stevie P.
Well, we can. We're Lions fans, Reza, so we can definitely complain. In fact, we complain a lot, but we're not going to go there.
I'm just used to these kind of things now.
Yeah, no. Look, the two most ridiculous games thrown away last weekend, but I don't want to even talk about it. But yes, so not good to be a Lions fan. We're going to talk about why it might not be a good time to be a Sharks fan as well. So we can go after Calvert there, and then Chris is smiling because he had another good weekend in the betting sphere last weekend. I'm smiling as well because I'm just sort of blindly, loyally following Chris's bets. So at this stage, it's going pretty well.
I'm pretty proud, Stevie, because we have had a winning weekend since we started, which is nice to have a good start, right? If we started off bad or slowly, we chased them, so it's always good to start off well. So I'm pleased with that.
Yeah. No, listen, if you could do my taxes as well, that'd be great.
Oh, don't! I'm starting that, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, no, listen. At the rate we're going, I might almost be able to like put up my car based on the bets by the end of the year. If we're going, if it's doing well, but
as long as you're not paying them £5 a unit, are you? It's going to take us a long time.
The sad thing is not even £5 a unit. It's still probably going to take me the end of the year. Especially with the way the petrol price keeps going up. Every single time I'm going to get close to that, like half a tank, it'll go up again. So tough times down here. It's get down up to stage 6. Well, stage 8 load shedding disguised as stage 6. So it's fun. But we move and we continue to move. Right, chat. We've got a lot to talk about and I'm going to start with the very big news. Because last week there I was doing a watch along, watching the Bulls run in try after try against the amateur side. They pass off a zebra. And all of a sudden, I get a whole bunch of messages on my phone blowing up that Jacques Nienaber has decided to move on from the Springboks after the World Cup and will take up a position with Leinster. Now, it's a very interesting move. It's a very interesting situation. And I think that we're now almost a week later. It's been interesting to see the sort of the different takes. Some people very upset about it. Some people celebrating. Some people saying he should walk away already and that his mind's not going to be in on the World Cup and stuff like that. So it's been an interesting reaction. For me, I think what's always interesting is to see the reaction of where he's going and to see what that sort of reaction. And by and large, I think the Leinster fans are over the moon. Because as much as people might not like him, might not have the best win percentage, I think at the end of the day, he's coming in and he is one of the best defense coaches in the world. And that Leinster side, it's not like they need too much, but it's definitely going to add more to it. So I'm going to work my way down. Chris, we'll go with you. What was your first initial reaction when you saw the news?
What? WTF? I'm gonna swear, yeah. Well, firstly, I was actually chatting to my Irish friend. I got a few Irish guys who are chatting the rugby, and I forwarded to him straight away as well. And he spent half an hour making jokes. He thought I was sending him a joke. He was like, then you read, I was like, oh my word, this is real. And I was like, I was exactly that. I was shocked. But the thing is, not more shocked. Why have Leinster appointed? I'm not want to be disrespectful to Nina, but like Leinster perfect. What I don't know what real value he's supposed to add when he's all nice, not too disrespectful or whatever. But like he's worked with Rassie most of the time. That's a big fish to go in there basically on his own. I'm sticking my neck out. I don't see it succeeding. But good luck to him. And that's all I say. He's done well for the books. He's got his opportunity. I have no idea why Leinster did it. C'est la vie. Good luck. You probably might be out of a job in a year. And that's all I've thought about it now, because for the main focus now is that he does the job for the World Cup. Gets us hopefully another win there. And that's all my focus on him right now.
And Reece, your first reaction?
Yeah, I'm also very much similar to Chris. I'm also kind of wondering why Leinster did it. It's making me second guess myself because I'm not entirely sure what they see in Jacques Nienaber that we're all missing. And that's not to say that I think Nienaber is a bad coach. I think that he's mediocre or maybe above mediocre. I think that he's...
Oaks are savages. Oaks won us a World Cup, dude. He won a World Cup.
He was passing water bottles at the World Cup.
Guys, we won the World Cup with a defense. Our defense won us the World Cup. His defense won us the World Cup. The disrespect to this lad.
Say what you want to say. But let's just be honest. Rassie is the brains behind that whole World Cup, and I don't think much has changed even since Jacques Nienaber took over. So I don't know. Maybe we're missing something here, and I hope that we get proven wrong. I question the timing a little bit. Very Ian Foster-like, although not on the same level where he was being pushed. Obviously, Foster was pushed out, and Nienaber is left voluntarily. But I wonder why they didn't take any lessons on board with that to say, well, maybe we should be delaying this announcement for later on, or maybe they just don't think it's going to disrupt things that much. Maybe the whole camp is quite happy for Nienaber, and they're all in it to win this World Cup, and then they'll part ways afterwards amicably. I think that's probably the more likely situation.
So apparently, and one of the journalists was very upset because apparently reports were about to break the story that he had signed for Leinster. So apparently that they were about to do this whole big reveal, exclusive Jacques Nienaber leaving, and apparently that forced them to jump the gun. Which, if that's the case, I actually don't mind, to be honest. You'd rather hear from the official source and then to be very transparent and say, this is what's happening. The announcement's there, now it's done. Don't worry about it for the next 6 months. Now we can shift our focus.
When you say jump the gun, though, we don't know when they were planning to announce it. I mean, to me, if they had announced it any later, it would have been severely disruptive. Now it's sort of okay. It gives everyone time to settle into this reality.
Yeah, I think it's actually not the worst time, to be honest. I said we're 2-3 months still. I mean, from away from the international season, we still got May, June, so it's plenty of time for everything to die down.
Can I just quickly just think now that I haven't even thought of, like I said, I hadn't thought about it. Now it's thinking to me, maybe the hire is because when Leinster do lose, it's against a powerful rampaging team like La Rochelle and the Bulls, possibly a Toulouse could. And maybe he is the final cog to bring something that when they come up against a team like that, he's got something like this Springbok mentality to bring them over. They can't see, because other than that, they seem to have what they need. So I can only think they want to bring that flair, whatever, thought into the process of them actually getting over the line. Because it looks like they've got a factory of these oaks coming through. So it looks like they're going to be strong for years and years. So that was my final thoughts.
Yeah, look. I mean, with Stuart Lancaster leaving, there was always big talk about who was going to come in and what type of person was going to come in. I just think it shows the pool that Leinster have and how elite Leinster are at the moment, that they can sit there and I said the other day they're the best side in Europe. And we said, oh, how can you say it? They haven't even won the Champions Cup in the last couple of years. But I mean, I think in the last 5 years, there's been 5 different Champions Cup winners. So I don't think that's the best measure to determine who's the best side. But if you look at how many finals they've been in, how many times they have won in the last decade, and right now they're about 90% of the best team in the world. So I do think they're the best side in the world. And for them to sit there and go, right, we're losing Stuart Lancaster, we back ourselves the best club in the world, but what can we do? And for them to go and say, you know what, let's go and poach the Springbok coach and bring him as an assistant, shows you how big the pool that Leinster have at the moment, the fact that they're not resting the laws and looking to innovate. Carl, your sort of thoughts on the whole thing?
Well, I think it's almost the same kind of scenario as, well, I mean, Stuart Lancaster is what built Leinster into quite obviously continued their power, but has changed them a little bit, and they're dominating basically everyone at the moment. But I mean, remember when Stuart Lancaster was head coach of England, everyone hated him. Everyone thought he was shit. I actually quite liked Stuart Lancaster as a coach. I thought he was one of our better coaches in recent years.
Well, let's be honest. The England fans are never a particularly good measure when it comes to deciding whether a coach is successful or not.
Yeah, but I can't exactly say the Pot fans are either.
No, you make a good point. You make a very good point.
We're about as bad as each other. The only difference is England has money.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, he's not wrong, dude. We're poor out here. Dude, our players are flying economy to Qatar and arriving in like the UK 24 hours after they've left Cape Town, dude. It's tough out here.
To see a little private
Hey,
jet
I
going
had to do it. They have to do
He's not wrong.
No, I don't know. I think the whole the defense mentality is a good point. Although considering how strong their defense can be at times, we'll see how it goes. I think it's unlikely that he'll fail at Leinster because he's got like basically the best platform in the world. It's like essentially someone being handed the Crusaders role and being like, right, all you have to do is the same thing.
But that's kind of how I feel about when he took over from Rusty post World Cup. He was handed a platform, which was, I mean, that squad after 2019 was rolling by itself for at least 2 years, So,
in a way, that's the same as when Eddie Jones took on England. I mean, he had arguably the best young team in the world, and for 2 years became unstoppable, and then basically ruined them.
Yeah. So I guess we have to. I guess we have to wait for his tenure to be a bit longer in this new role and see what happens.
I was surprised because I thought it was going to be Rassie that stepped away and Ninaba would take us for another 4 years. That was kind of what I thought the plan was.
I don't know. I kind of always, and sorry to Brian was talking about it, and he said those two have always been a package deal since for like the last decade, basically. Apparently they met back in the army days. They've been mates for like years and years and years and years and years. So that's why it was interesting in like the press release, and I wonder if it will be the case where they emphasize that Rassie's got a contract for another 2 more years, and they emphasize that in the contract to say that he's locked in for at least. Right, and we are back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. Bulls currently hammering Leinster 31 points to 0. What a first half it was from the home side, who won the kickoff as Gerard Steenkamp goes marauding towards the 22. Tell you what, they're looking to pick up where they left off. Good. Oh, the hands. But now it's interception. Sam Prendergast hammered downfield. But goodness me, the Bulls are cooking over there at Loftus. Not entirely sure where this Bulls side's been the entire season, but I tell you what, if they keep playing, this is going to be a hell of an effort from them. Ball over the top. Well covered by Ambrose Pierre. Bringing Kane Moody. Good tackle from Max Deegan. Brownlee trying to be in the ground. We're missing out. Mornay Smith now. Going up towards the halfway line. Ambrose Papier. Good pass here. Stefan Hunt's coming inside. Ambrose Papier inside to Ruan for Mark. Good game from Ruan for Mark. Up to Kirsten Cup. Good hands, yeah. Ambrose Papier. Ambrose Papier straight to the gap. Ambrose Papier is still going. Up to 22. Spinning around for oh my goodness. Ambrose Papier. That is dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. That is absolutely brilliant from Ambrose Papier. What I said earlier, I said, you know what, if there's a scrum of crisis in the Springboks, I wouldn't mind seeing Ambrose Papier back in the setup. That was brilliant. The awareness, the calmness. I mean, he gets this ball back just inside the heart. See, he's about 10-meter line. He drifts. He's drifting. Somebody shoots up, so he goes straight through the gap. He then half tackle, spins away to get his arms free, all flows to Jan Krobler. Jan Krobler goes over. That is absolutely sensational from the Bulls number 9. The perfect start here for the Bulls. They go up 36 points with the kick to come. This could suddenly become a bit of a cricket score if they don't be careful. Leinster at the moment have got absolutely no answer whatsoever to what the Bulls are throwing at them. That's the perfect start for the Bulls, and that would have been the chat at half time. I'm sure the chat would have been a bit sort of right, chaps. It's a good half. It's a really good work, but don't switch off. Do not switch off. Start off well. Make sure that any sort of spirit or anything that they're going to try and bring from half time does not happen. Knock the wind out of their sails very early, and they've done just that. Jan Hussen with the kick to come to try and make us 38 points to 0. And as I said, Leinster could be in big trouble. This could actually get a little bit embarrassing. And yes, Leinster will brush under the carpet and say it was a young team. We didn't expect them to do anything. We didn't expect them to be competitive. This is all about exposure. But you do not want to be hammered, 50, 60 0 at the end of the day, no matter what team you're putting out. And the Bulls, I'll tell you what, they've been running in tries for fun over the last 2 weeks. That's the kind of momentum you want going into playoffs. And that's not a good moment either, as Pam Brendergast has kicked that dead, and we'll go back for us to the halfway line for a scrum. So, yeah, and this is the thing, when you're down and you're not playing well, the smaller areas sort of start to creep in, and things like that just do not help. You're under a lot of pressure. You need to try and find a way to get out of it. Then you make a mistake like that, and that just doesn't help at all. Jan Hussen missing the kick there, by the way. Huge scrum. That's another penalty advantage here. Now they're going down the right hand side. Stefan Hunt stepping inside. Stefan Hunt with the acceleration. Look at that from the former 7-star. Papier now to Hussen. Hussen going short to Johan Nokia. Bulls up to 22. Popping up to Ambrose Papier. Going to Jan Hussen. Hussen out to Kurt Lawrence. Kurt Lawrence flat out towards Creel. Little dad through from Creel. And then he goes all the way back to the... I'll tell you what, in terms of an advantage game, I feel like if you go from the halfway line to the 5-meter, penalty and a yellow card. Things going from bad to worse for Leinster. Too many... oh, dear, the red card. It's not quite a red card. Just a yellow card. So this could now get very, very messy for Leinster. But a couple of subs here for Leinster, and Rob Russell and Ben Murphy are on. So Tommy O'Brien and Ben Brownlee have been replaced. Interesting to see that Brownlee's been replaced by Ben Murphy. So it looks like he'll go onto the wing. Penalty advantage. Albert Lowe coming off the back of that line out. Strong carry from the big number 8. Penalty advantage as well. Versapia going short to Markov and Staden. Now Stefan Kranz. Good carry from him. And Versapia, long pass out wide. Oh, and I'll tell you what, could almost be a knockdown. But it's come back to Harold Forster. Harold Forster just short. Still penalty advantage here for the Bulls. Versapia going to Johan Goosen. Johan Goosen with the cross kick over the top. This is for Kane and Moody to try and compete for. Well, that is the perfect time to end the poll. Kane Moody, stop it. Stop it. He has launched himself in the air, got in front of the man, taken the catch, and he's landed on his side to score that try. That is disgustingly good. Bang! Bang! Not even a celebration. Bunk! I mean, he's taking it over his head as well. That's silly good. Like, silly good. Goodness me, that is good. That is absolutely brilliant from Kane and Moody. And Jan Goosen, that's a much better conversion attempt from him. 43 points to 0. One try away from that big 50 mark. And goodness me, this is getting... Ref, you might just want to call the game, to be honest. You might just want to call it there. That is one of the best finishes you'll see, just from an athletic point of view. Get that high, take it over your head. Yeesh! This Bulls team is not doing anything wrong here. Burst up here. Jan Goosen. Oh no, they're looking to run absolutely everything. Albert Lowe bursts through the middle. He's throwing the ball away to Ty McAway though. Look at the Bulls not trying to run absolutely everything. Strong carry there from Ed Byrne. Playing with a confidence we haven't seen in a long time. Charlie Tector's on the park as well, by the way. Chris Cosgrave made it, and it's a penalty for the Bulls. Kane and Moody winning it this time. I mean, this Bulls side. Yes, again, you have to look at this in context. Yes, it's not the strongest Leinster side. This Bulls performance is a performance of a side that can compete to come the playoffs. If I'm anyone, if I'm sitting there, if I'm right now they're in 7th place. So if I'm sitting there going, shit, guys, this team is going to push us. This is not going to be an easy quarterfinal. Jan Goosen seems to be playing with a bit more confidence in the last sort of 20 minutes, so that's a big sign. Kane and Moody, Kurt Janssen are cooking. This has been a pretty close to a 5 out of 5 performance so far, and it's only 48 minutes. Right, another sub there. Milner comes on for Ed Burns, so Leinster really emptying the bench, trying to give everybody a go here. Look, it's not like it's working, to be fair. It's not like it's working. Albert Lowe. Good hit from him. Now cross kick from Goosen. Straight into the hands of Creel. And he's hammered over Charlie Tector, I think it is. And he's got the offload away to Ruan Nokia. This is becoming exhibition rugby now from the Bulls. Harold Forster, long pass out to Goosen. Goosen fires it out to Gerald Stenenkamp, who turns. See Sam Prendergast. The offload. Not great. Jan Krobler does knock it forward, so it will be a scrum. Where did this Bulls team come from? Where's this been? And again, I don't care what Leinster team it is. The confidence they're playing with, some of the skills on hand here, has been awesome to watch. It pains me to say, as a Lions fan, but it has been awesome to watch. Very impressive. Right, here comes the big lad. Temi Lasisi is onto the park. for his debut. 21-year-old tight head. Keegan Johannes on the park. I tell you what, I would very much have Ambrose appear in my man of the match conversations. Which the commentators now agree with me. I tell you what I say, they're a bit late on it, but shame. We'll forgive them. What a performance that was from Ambrose Pierre. Really impressive. Now we get to see the young tight end, having a go at Gerard Sennekamp. He's full of confidence at the moment. No subs yet for the Bulls. Apart from Keegan Johannes, who's just walked on. %73% possession still for the Bulls. Searching for that 50 points. Huge scrum, massive scrum. Has to be a penalty, surely. Turnover ball, almost as good. Keegan Johannes now to Hurston. Short to Forster. Getting away from Carl. Sorry, it's Malcolm Staden. Keegan Johannes to Hurston. Long ball out wide to Creel. Creel back inside to Kurt Arnse. Back inside. Stedman Gans goes over. Oh my goodness, and they could be bringing up the 50 points in less than 60 minutes, on the 50th minute, this is just absolutely ridiculous. Stedman Gans, I'm so glad he's playing well. I'll tell you what, if I'm the Lions, I'll be throwing all the money in the world at him. And I'll be saying, come on, come to us. You're getting limited game time at the Bulls. We need an outside centre. He's exactly the type of player I'd love to see at the Lions. Stedman Gans goes over. He's had a very, very good game. The kick to come here as well. The bench saying a good experience for Leinster CT. Mark Tony saying Gans did a good step and Gust did a Gans step. Sean Farrell said the Bulls playing very well. It is the worst performance by a Leinster team I've seen. I haven't been a fan for since 2011. Is this Leinster B team? Yeah, very much. No, none of the Irish stars out here. Very young side. But be that as it may, 50 points in 51 minutes. Is not something to sniff at. This is almost the same Leinster team that did beat the Lions last weekend. That being the same Lions team that beat the Bulls at Loftus. So, it's funny how the tails turn. Great little ball inside there from Kurt Lawrence. So, free up their hands, Stedman Gans. The support line's been very good. They've always had an option to offload, haven't they? They've really, really done well in that they've always supported the ball carrier really well. So, they've always had options. Great take that from Ruan O'Keefe right at that and the conversion going wide there from Johan Persson. 48 points to 0 though. Pretty good work here from the Bulls. I think I'll definitely get past that 50 mark. Could even be looking at that 60 mark if the tries continue to rain down like they are. And the sad thing for Leinster is that they just don't know how to keep the ball, so they're just going to be defending the entire game. See, that ball is thankfully, it was knocked back by a Bulls player. Oh, I tell you what, it's a break. It's a big break. The reason I say it's a big break, it's a big boy. Great carry there from Michael Milner. Now ball back to Sam Prendergast, goes short to Turner. He's trying hard. Kenny Moody's trying to get all over that ball. The CC, the big tight take, comes in that scrum off at the best pass to Max Deegan. McCarthy going to Will Connors. Yeah, really good physicality being on display here from the Bulls. Leinster really struggled to find any gain on advantage. Now Soroka. Slow ball here for Connors. The CC, the big tight head. Turner, nice little change of angle, making a few yards. Good carry from the number 13. Connors popping up to Milner. Deegan goes himself, just short. Milner! Yeah, well played. First points for Leinster. The Bulls have eventually been breached, and to be fair, they actually haven't done much defending, so they probably forgot how to do it in the time. First said you can't say this is impressive from the Bulls because it's the Leinster B, so they'll get smashed against their team with all internationals. I can actually say that. I have said that. And it's actually quite brave to say that I get smashed with all the internationals because almost a year ago on the day, Bulls went over to Ireland and beat the Leinster A team in Ireland. So with all the internationals, so it's not that big for me to actually say it's an impressive performance from the Bulls. That's come on. You're just hating now. If you can't look at a 48-point performance in 50 minutes and say it's not impressive, you can't. You can try, but you can't. It is impressive. Doesn't matter who they're playing against. Even if they're playing against Zebra, you'd sit there saying you've got to be disciplined. I mean, they've run in try after try after try after try. Yeah, of course, last year was a season, but that's what I'm saying. You can't put hypotheticals into the universe and then write off any other previous, genuine real data. The Bulls have beaten Leinster in Ireland, so they've got that in their locker. But right now, we have to look at what they're doing, and what we're doing is we're looking at the Bulls having run in 7 tries so far, which is impressive. But now, Leinster with ball in hand. Will they have a bit of a late surge and try and make a bit of a comeback here? That ball's been hammered downfield, and Johan Goosen is back. He's got plenty of time to try and find a good clearance. I need a poll here, people. I need a poll. The poll I'm gonna throw out is: will the Bulls make the semi-finals? Will the Bulls make the URC semi-finals? Will they win a quarterfinal clash and get themselves to the semi-final? That's what I'm going to throw out there. You can go and vote on that and let me know what you guys think. Prendergast, it's good hands, but it's behind the man there. And that's going to go far too far. They're going to go all the way back for the scrum there. So another mistake for Leinster is going to give Bulls some field position. Leinster going with a little bit of confidence in the last couple of minutes, but that's a big mistake. That's going to halt the progress. Here's my BBC, by the way. It's come onto the park. Who else has come on? Yeah. Yeah, just those subs at the moment. It's a bit strange. Sort of almost expected to see a couple more subs on. Right, and Piermont and Zima onto the park as well. Go straight down. It's going to have a reset there. First scrum with a couple of new front rows. Lee Barron onto the park as well. And Francois Kloppers. So yeah, basically two brand new front rows. There's 2 brand new front rows. So you kind of expect a couple of resets when they first get going. Yeah, penalty advantage from the scrum. Much better scrum that from the Bulls. Keegan Johannes going to Johan Goosen on the front foot, popping up to Caden Moody. Caden Moody, ball into Steven Hunt. Ball inside. Harold Foster under the pole, or next to the poles. Far too easy. The fans celebrate. The Bulls, another try they run in there. That is try number 8 for them. Japan is not impressive because the Leinster don't have their Irish internationals. I will maintain it's still pretty impressive. It's the relentlessness of it is impressive. And look, it's just a couple of really good set moves here. A couple of nice offloads. I said the support play. They've always had options on the inside, so the support play has been very good. Harold Foster this time going in. Should be a pretty straightforward conversion as well. Right, having a look at the try here. I don't know what they're looking at entirely. Lloyd saying the Bulls, I know. Robert saying, who will the Bulls play in the quarters if they win? So right now, as it stands, they'll move into 6th place with this win. And in fact, they'll move into 5th with Munster still to play. So if Munster lose, then they will remain 5th. But if Connacht win, they can go ahead of them. So as it stands, if they finish this weekend in 5th, they'll play Glasgow Warriors. And assuming Glasgow Warriors don't, no, they can't actually drop down lower than 4th. But if they finish in 6th, then as it stands, they'll play against the Stormers. They finish 7th, which is where they currently are. They'll play against Ulster. They cannot finish lower than 7th though. So they will not be playing Leinster in the quarters. That is confirmed. Barry says, even if Leinster don't have Irish internationals, there's no excuse for the sloppy performance. Even without them, they're still dangerous. They're dangerous last weekend, and that boys have been allowed to bounce, and good work eventually being done by Rob Russell to get that ball back. And never thought I would see this. This is actually historic, says Francis. Who is at the moment your man of the match? Tell you what, Embrace of Pierre pulled all the strings earlier on. Stephen Hunt has been pretty good. Kane and Moody and Kurt Lawrence have been cooking. The pack has been pretty dominant. Albert Lowe's been full of running. Difficult to say, really. I mean, it's a line break. What a carry that is from Thomas Clarkson, who's back on, by the way. But it's turnover ball. Kane and Moody, oh no, they're going to run another one. An intercept try, and Kane and Moody's got green grass ahead of him. He's going to go under the poles. And I tell you what, when you've got no luck, you've got no luck. Try number 9 for the Bulls, and Kane and Moody's over for his second. This will be 60 points with the kick to come, and this is getting absolutely horrible for Leinster. Yeah, no issue with that. And yeah, Bulls. What's scary? What is scary is not even the game, but Bulls are scoring a point a minute at the moment. And it sounds like no issues with the try as well, so it will stand. Person adds the extra 62 points to 7 with still 90 minutes to play. That's the scary thing, is there's still a lot of rugby to play. 9 tries so far from the Bulls, 6 conversions, 7 conversions, I think, actually. Good show of pace there from Kane and Moody. One of the easier tries he will score, but still had a lot of grass to cover. I tell you what, if you put money on a big scoreline today, it was a pretty safe bet. Oh, bit of a fumble there from Carl Brink. Does we get it? Now Janko Swanepoel onto the park. Not sure if he's replaced Ruan Vermaak or Ruan Nokia. Brace with, I think, Johannes rather. Russell, a lot of pressure being put on the ball there, and it's been turned over once again by the Bulls. Swanepoel, and a knock-on advantage for him. He's trying to get his hands loose. Keegan Johannes going to Spiro Mantanzima. Bismarck du Plessis, pick up and go, making room and yards with every single carry. Jan Goosen fires a pretty poor pass. It's gone forward. Inside balls back to Kurt Lawrence, and he would have been all the way, but the pass from Jan Goosen going forward there. It will be a Leinster scrum. Yeah, just trying to fire out that long pass out wide, and it's just drifted forward. Jan Goosen, though, this will be a big confidence booster for him. Very interested to see what Jake White will do when it comes to the quarterfinals, whether he'll go back to Chris Smith or he's going to back Jan Goosen. Those quarterfinals, by the way, will be in 2 weeks. The 6th of May is when they are currently scheduled to be played. There might be one on Friday night. Could be 2 on Friday as well. I kind of expect a Friday night one and then 3 on the Saturday. Probably, like a 4, 6, 8 kickoff would be my guess, because the Stormers will be at home, so it'll either be a 7 o'clock kickoff on a Friday night or hopefully a 4 o'clock. Top of 6 kickoff would be nice for the Stormers. and then probably a late kickoff over in Ireland for Ulster. Now Leinster looking to break off the back, kicking behind, and Cody Lawrence is well positioned. And he's looking to run. They're always looking to run, the Bulls. They wouldn't be doing that if they didn't have 62 points on the board. But they don't want to kick possession away. Tim Gans now going to room for Mark. Oh, it's a short offload to Francois Klopper. He's just he popped it up to Janko Swanepoel, who's managed to hold on to it as well. Room for Mark at scrum half. Sampio Mantanza. Oh, that's a nice big hit on him. Both the props back on, by the way, for Leinster. The starting props. Out towards the halfway line, kicking Johannes. Jan Goosen. Harold Forster, long pass out wide to Creel. Creel steps inside. I know he doesn't have as much pace as everybody else, but every now and again, I like to see him put his head down and see what he can do. It's probably removed the yellow card. They haven't had a yellow card for a while, so it is a 15-man contingent. Knock-on advantage, though, for Leinster. I think a double knock-on, so it will be a scrum for them. Matanzima, they're knocking it forward. Now a couple more replacements here. I think this will be the rest of the bench. Barry says Bulls can still kill them, can make this 80 points on the cards. Happy Bruce saying Leinster had to play against each South African team once, while SA teams had to face each other twice. Competition is tough for the SA group. Is the comp fair? Well, all four Irish sides are going to finish in the playoffs. So one would argue that they actually had a harder time of it. Really, when you think that currently the Irish sides finish in the, stay in the top 6. So yeah, one would argue that based on the log, it's a lot harder for the South African and Irish sides, and yet they continue to be in the top 9. The 8 out of the 9 teams in the top 9 are South African and Irish. One sort of wonders, Glasgow Warriors had to, play Benton twice, played Zebra twice, played Edinburgh twice, and that might have had quite a big effect on it. The Welsh teams would have all played each other once and twice as well. So yeah, it's a difficult format to really. So it's difficult for the Irish and South African teams. But I wouldn't say it's I don't think it's been easier for Leinster. As I said, they're having to play the Irish sides, who are all further up the log than the South African sides. Ulster in 2nd, Munster in 5, Connacht in 6. So one would argue that Leinster have actually had it tougher, but by virtue of them having their South African tour at the end of the season, which they've done for the 2nd time in a row, they've been able to rotate. They can wrap up the number 1 and then not worry about these last 2 games. If their South African league came in early in the season, then they might not have had the luxury of rotating. So I suppose it kind of more comes down to when the fixtures take place as opposed to the fixtures themselves. If Stormers had wrapped up, 2nd, for example, and had 2 games overseas, they probably also wouldn't have sent a full strength side. So yeah, I don't think it's been easier for Leinster. I'll put it that way. I think it's arguably, in fact, it's probably more difficult for the Irish sides. Egan Johannes. And it's a really good chase, but they've done well to keep it in. They have, no, he's not done well to keep it in. And this is what I'm saying. Even the small things have not just gone the way of Leinster. Things like that. It's a good take in the air. And Creel's just there. Almost takes him out in the air, Oh, that's very marginal. Very, very marginal. I think they'll put it down as good timing. But it was pretty close to playing him in the air, actually. By the way, if 6 more people subscribe, we will be up to 24,450, which should be quite cool, as we're trying to get to 24,500. I'd like to be at 25,000 by the end of the month. And we want to try and push to 30,000 before the Rugby World Cup starts. That is the plan. And yeah, you guys can make that happen. So if you're not subscribed and you're new to the channel, then come on and get involved. Get involved. Right, Johannes. Francois Klopper. Chris Smith onto the park. Creel was getting a bit of a treatment and that ball's gone forward. Off the leg though. So McCarthy. Finding a bit of space, trying to get his kick away. It's a very, very good kick from McCarthy. That's very well played from him. And he's chasing hard. I like to see it again. And this is about testing the heart and the fight of your Leinster players. You've been absolutely hammered today. You've been taken apart. Are you going to give up? Or are you going to keep grafting? Where's the fight? Who's willing to keep fighting? Who's willing to keep grafting despite having been blown apart? So we're going to end the poll there. And I'll ask, will the Bulls make the URC semi-finals? And 82% of people, shame it's been carried back. You see what I'm saying? They just can't get anything right. It was such a good kick, but carried back as the core. So Bulls will have a line inside the 22. 82% believing that Bulls will make to the URC semi-finals. So what I want to do now is I want to do a poll for man of the match, which is going to be really difficult. I think Caden Moody has to be in there. He scored a brace. Curtly Orenser scored a brace. Emrose Papier, for me, was terrific. The pack has been so good. Ruan Nokia, Elric Low. So I'm going to throw it out to you guys. I need 4 nominations for man of the match. What are we thinking? I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. By the time it gets to 70 minutes, we're going to then put the poll out, and that's not straight from Bismarck Duplessis, so that buys us a bit of time. I want some nominations from out of you guys, who you guys think the man of the match should be. Then we could throw out a poll, and that's a great kick. It's absolutely brilliant kick. It's an absolutely dusted Creel. We got that completely wrong. So it will be a Bulls line, but way back inside their own half. Throw out some names, and then we're going to throw out a poll, and then we're going to go crown a Forever Sports Man of the Match. Also, as I said, if 4 more people could just subscribe to the channel, get us up to that 450 mark, that would be lekker. Lekker, so it's a cracker. We went from Mark carry from him. He's been pretty good again today. Not seeing any nominations for man of the match yet, people. You're supposed to be helping me out here. Keegan Johannes lifts it high in the air, up against the touchline, bounces and falls back to Ulrich Low. I'm gonna have to create my own nominations at this rate. Chris Smith, long pass out there to Forster to Steman Khan. Steman Khan's looking to put the hammer down. Long pass out wide to Kane Moody. Forward pass, I think, is the call. Right, well, you guys are going to help me out here. So I'm going to put out there, who was your man of the match? Who was, or is your man of the match, I suppose? Your man of the match. And I'm going to put in Kanan Moody. I'm going to put in Ambrose Papier, who would be my man of the match. I'm going to put in Kirkley Orenser. And I'm trying to decide if I want to go Ulrich Low or Ruan Nokia. I've been very impressed with the work rate of Ruan Nokia. Ulrich Low, Malcolm Starn as well has carried up pretty well. I'm going to go with Ruan Nokia. He did score a try as well. Although I thought that Ulrich Low has been very good as well. Bulls have only been made to make 60 tackles. They missed 6 actually, which is 10%. But Leinster missed 29 tackles. So that's not a good stat. But there we go. I've got the poll out for the man of the match options. And penalty for Leinster. More to the point, can I just talk about the fact that this kicked off at 4 o'clock and this game is going to potentially end at before 2:15. So that's a really good game time of a match, for a match not to take too long. So we've got to poll up, and Kurt Lawrence and Kane Moody are dominating the votes. As I said, Ambrose Appear would have been my personal one. The phones are out. I'm not quite sure why. All the lights are out. All of the lights. All of the lights. I'll just tell Steve's about to go to a party. Woo! Woo! All of the lights. Oh, the time's back on. Leinster have got a line out inside the 22, by the way. They are looking to try and hit back. Maybe try to score some points. Maybe try and save a bit of face here. The Bulls looking at one stage very good to go to about 80 points. The scoring has slowed down. And that's not going to help their cause. That's very much not straight, unfortunately, for them. So they will have to retake that. Will Leinster, and it's just been one of those days, hasn't it? You got to feel for the lads. You really do have to feel for the lads. So yeah, we'll be live after this for Sharks versus Munster, which will also be a really cool game. So please do come and join us there. It'll be myself for the beginning, and then Carl will be taking over during the first half. And yeah, so do come and join us. Penalty there for the Bulls. And the long day at the office on the scrum continues to get very long. And yeah, as I said, I think at the moment Leinster are just desperately trying to wait for that final whistle. Chris Smith with the ball in hand. So the Bulls had to do a job today. That was to get a bonus point win. They have done that and some. And some. Right. Emil saying Leinster make the same mistake as last season. I wouldn't say it's really a mistake. I mean, why would you bring out your top players for a 2-week trip to South Africa if it literally you don't have to? You've got a Champions Cup semi-final next weekend. So you'd be leaving here on Saturday night. You'd only be arriving back. No, you probably wouldn't even be leaving tonight. You'd probably be leaving tomorrow, arrive back on Monday. You'd have to have Monday off. So you'd only have 3 practices. Whereas now, for the last 2 weeks, this Leinster side have been the Leinster. I mean, Leo Cullen's not even out here. So they've literally been grafting just to try and beat Toulouse, which is probably the biggest game next weekend. Oh, nice little walk behind from Stephen Hunt, except it was to nobody. Chris Smith trying to pick it up, but he has picked it up under a lot of pressure. Last 7 minutes here, yeah. Kurt Lawrence trying to find a bit of space. He's been good tonight. Currently leads our poll for man of the match. Shortly behind is Kenan Moody. Ooh, bit of a fumble miss from Chris Smith. Good hands there. Stephen Hunt. He could actually have also been a very good nomination for man of the match. Top. Oh, and it's been regathered as well from Harold Forster. Harold Forster looking for options. He's put to the boot. I don't know if Kenan Moody still has the legs in him. No, that's really, really good pace. I'll tell you what, not even taking a risk. Ben Murphy has said, stuff this, and he's just kicked it out. He's just hammered it away. He's over it. He's absolutely, I don't know why, just ground this, mate. Good work there from Harold Forster. And Kenan Moody just doesn't have the pace. So this will be a 5-meter scrum for the Bulls. If you just picked it up and I don't know. A bit confused to why it's not. So if you kick it out, just past the, and it's already past the thing, is it a goal line dropout? Really? I don't know that. Good carry there from Ruben Mark. He's been pretty industrious as well. Now Janko Swanepoel goes short. Chris Smith going to Kurt Lawrence. So Kurt Lawrence steps inside one. 5 minutes left on the clock. And we'll check the foul play here. Oh dear, this is the last thing you want to see with if Leinster struggling is the discipline to go. So we are checking for foul play. Yes, Leinster could be a bit of trouble. Ruin from Mark actually, who's leading with the elbow. Yeah, so it's actually from the Bulls. Wonder about it a little bit. He's trying to go for the handoff. So the forearm's away. I think he gets this completely wrong. To be honest, I think he's trying to lead with the hand. He's missed it, and his forearms sort of followed through. So probably a penalty, to be honest. Yeah, the angle. I think the angle there shows sort of elbow to neck contact, but I think he misses with it. So he's definitely leading with the hand. He's trying to get the hand onto the chest and just misses it. And the forearm obviously being attached to the hand kind of follows it. Yeah, I don't think there's much in here. Maybe a penalty at most. Trying to hear what they're saying about it. Yeah, it'll be a yellow card. I think it's a bit harsh. Look, it gets it wrong at the end of the day. I don't think it's malicious, but there's definitely contact eventually with the forearm to sort of the throat region. He's just missed it at the end of the day. Interesting that Albert Lowe's captain. So the first sort of blip on the Bulls' radar, they will finish with 14 men. Ruin for Mark, the man who's going to be finishing the game in the bin. Yeah, it's a bit harsh. The letter of the law, it's yeah, he just gets it slightly wrong. Does Ruin for Mark. Well, last time, well done, my Bulls team, part of the guys. Kevin says, isn't part of the issue that had to the tackling ensued situation like that? Yeah, to a certain degree it is, but so I mean, for example, he was leading high. If he had led with his head or shoulder on Ruin for Mark, there would have been issues. But Ruin for Mark has led first and made the initial contact. So yeah, I suppose it's whoever infringes first. So Ruin for Mark, by putting his hand out, has infringed on him. If he hadn't put the hand out and he went and the guy ended up maybe great steal on the ball there from Bismarck Duplessis, and he had led with the head or something like that, then obviously he would have got in trouble. But you can't really penalize the tackler for a hypothetical, you know. Yeah, but that would become a very, very big grey area. So, you know, you've also got a responsibility as the ball carrier to be safe as well. And you can't leave with the elbow and stuff like that. Now, Keane has been told to use it. 3 minutes left on the clock here. Ball still with possession. Thought they were going to score another try, but they're chasing hard here. Curtly Orange. They've still got plenty of speed left in him. Sam Prendergast under a lot of pressure there from Kane and Moody. Pick up and drive here from Curtly Orange. And he's won that back here, Curtly Orange. And he's picked it up. It's brilliant stuff work by Marco Verstappen. He throws Russell off his back. Turnover ball here for the Bulls. Keegan Johannes going to Elric Lowe going to Chris Smith. Chris Smith looking for options, and that's a great take from Kyle Breen. Pops it up to Harold Forster. Goes to Steven Kans. Steven Kans steps on the inside. Just lost a bit of momentum there with that hand in there from one of the Leinster players. Now Keegan Johannes going nice and short to Jakob Swampel, getting on the front foot. Penalty advantage as well, yeah, for the Bulls. Marco van Staden. Keegan Johannes now going to Imperial Mantanzima. Ball over the top from Chris Smith towards Hal Briggs, steps back inside to Steven Khan. Steven Khan's got a lot of work to do. He's pretty isolated as well. The ball does pop up there for Keegan Johannes. No advantage there, so they're going to go back for the penalty. I'm sure they'll go for touch here. Last 2 minutes, the Bulls looking to try and finish with a bit of a bang. They probably won't have enough time to get to 70 points, but could get to 69, which is a good number. It's a cool number. The first time Leinster, that's a good point. The first time Leinster have ever had to come down to Loftus. They played both the games against Bulls last year at home. So yes, they will have never won at Loftus, and that's not going to change this today. Right, looking for the rolling more. Yeah, Bismarck Duplessis popping off the back last minute of the game here. Do the Bulls have one more try in them, or are they going to just have to settle for just the 9 tries? Penny advantage to Pio Mantanzima through the tackle. Looking to make it 10 tries. And the Bulls kind of think. Penalty, 30 seconds left. I'll go for a scrum here, to be honest. Well, I suppose you are locked down. They've been so dominant, I'll still consider it. No, they'll go for the line out, but they forgot they were down to 40 men and without a lock. Yeah, by the way, after this game, we'll be live for Sharks versus Munster. I'll be starting it off, and Carl will be joining us a little bit later. So do come and join me for the first start. The kickoff was at 6:15, which is just under half an hour's time. This will redirect you to the stream, so you don't have to do anything. You have to just stay on the stream, and it'll take you right there. And that will be the URC action for the weekend. It's been another good weekend of coverage. Next weekend will be Champions and Challenge Cup, and probably a bit of Curry Cup action as well that we'll look to try and cover. Some cool Curry Cup fixtures next weekend. I think the Lions play the Pumas on Friday evening. Chris Smith going short there to Marco van Staden. It's, I think, Sharks Greek was next weekend, which I think it's Bulls Cheetahs, which should be quite a cool game. Bulls Sharks actually on the 6th of May. No, that's next weekend will be Province Bulls. Yeah, that's the nice game on Saturday at 5 o'clock. And tons of pick up and go, but he's lost the ball forward. Oh, that will be the end of the game. Prendergast trying to chip over the top. If tapped back, they'll go back, and that'll be it. Well, that's a pretty fast-start performance from the Bulls. 62 points to 7. You'll have to watch it to believe it. What a performance from the home side. They've absolutely taken apart this Leinster young side. And yeah, that's a lot of really, really good momentum for the Bulls to take into the playoffs. People, thank you very much for joining me. We'll see you guys in a little bit for Sharks versus Munster. Until then, smash like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. We didn't get to 450, but hopefully we'll get past that during the Sharks versus Munster stream. Or you guys could just subscribe right now. There's over 200 of you on the stream. So go and subscribe, and hopefully that'll then tick over by the time we get to Sharks versus Munster. People, thank you